to the MinnMax Show, the #1 place on the planet about games, friends, and getting better. Today we are joined by special guest Mark McDonald, executive producer of Lumines Arise.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
We have freelance writer and editor Ana Diaz.
Hey, what's up?
Of course, everyone knows Leo Vader.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
If you've been confused by this voice up to this point, your regular host, Ben Hansen, is out on paternity leave. Filling in for him is me, Kyle Bossman, the best fourth place choice in the biz.
Welcome
First in
back.
our hearts.
Yeah. It's this is fun. We have like a mostly guest podcast lineup this week.
The coup
Oops,
is
all
already
guests.
starting.
Yeah. It's going to be a little fresh. We're going to try some new things. Just kidding. Sorry. I'm going to give Ben a little scare.
Yeah, we're going to implement some of your how to fix MinnMaxes, I believe, right, Kyle?
Please look, and for all listeners, please look forward to it. There will be a twerp announced at the end of this podcast.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that's your decision, or we vote, or Backstage Pass?
It's the host's decision, but there could be a revolt if you disagree with the host decision.
If you get the
I've
people
already.
inside?
Can we do a ranked choice?
Yeah, sure.
For people who are just
Okay.
listening, I've already implemented one of the things. I hope somebody was going to comment on it, but your signaling authority thing here, I thought somebody would mention the. All right, I'll just push this back. The giant game award thing that I moved right in front of the camera right when we started talking.
So there's a couple of props we need to acknowledge there. Firstly, what is that a game award for?
Let's say it's for a game of the year. It doesn't matter what category it was in, but it was not the game of the year, but it was a game of the year. Oh yeah, this thing. Can you see that? Is that in the frame? Okay, I'm sorry. That doesn't mean to be there.
No, hold on. What'd you win? What was the game award for?
It was for Res Infinite, and it was for
cool.
for VR. It was the very first VR game of the year. It's the first year that they had it, so doesn't matter if it was part of the televised version of the show or if people were on stage or not or whatever. Right? It's award is an award.
Same
How
clout.
heavy is it?
It is incredibly. Kyle Bossman, you know this, right? These things are really, really heavy. I have to say that cliche about the awards. I mean, it's a legit, really nice thing.
Who gets to keep that in their office?
I'm just taking your tips of signaling authority. I actually have a medallion here too from Famitsu that I was going to try to wear, but I figured it was maybe a little too much. But
it is too much, but now you have to explain it. What is the medallion from and for? You said it's from Famitsu?
It's from Famitsu, so Japanese trade magazine, Famitsu. Still a weekly, God bless, printed magazine about video games in the year of our Lord 2025. And when you get your game reviewed, if you get, I think, over a 30, you get silver, and over that's 1 to 10 by 4 different people. So all of those scores put together, if it adds up to over 30, you get a silver. I think it's over 33, it's a gold, and over 35, it's like platinum or something like that. And they actually send you like a little weird little gold medal. And so
That's good. So EGM used to do that back in the day, I realize. They did the silver to or bronze to platinum even, yeah.
That's right. And we sent a very cheap, like Formica kind of little piece of crap thing that nonetheless people would display when you'd walk into developers and stuff like that. But yeah.
I didn't realize there was any actual medallion involved. That's pretty cool.
There was, yeah. Yeah.
And then
always.
least impressively, you have another item behind you.
So I thought I'd spruce it up so people remember, 2 years ago when I was last on that, our last game, Humanity, had just launched when I was on the MinnMax podcast. I was bemoaning the state of my very lame, non-gamer approved background here. Was feeling super inadequate, but luckily Leo's background, I feel like, has kind of saved me this time. But I thought I would spice it up a little bit. So this is a signed what do you call them? 8x10s? What are they called when people who are famous carry them around with them just to sign for people?
Your headshot?
5x6s, whatever that is. Yeah,
Sure.
from the Space Michael himself, Michael Jackson, signed to the Space Channel 5 team. Yeah, and we joke. It's actually usually in the office. But we always talk about like, should we have that up or not? I'm not sure.
It's like kind of that thing. Yeah.
But I figured, the biography is coming out or some movie or something is happening. So,
Yeah.
very, very, very hot, very, very hot right now with the times.
Sure.
I guess I got nothing. I'm just trying to spice up just trying to implement your suggestions.
I feel
I really
spiced.
like that. Like, I feel like it's restaurant rules where, like when famous people go into a restaurant and you have like all the photos up and it's just like, anything's fair game, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like there's allegations there, but they're famous and they were here. We're
yeah,
just gonna
exactly.
ignore that.
Like, that makes that lends, it's still unfortunately, fortunately, it lends legitimacy to the establishment that, has it.
Right.
And then lastly, for listeners, to describe Leo's background,
Sure.
it is a large shadowed blank wall. And it seems like maybe you may have taken the cover off of your light switch.
The radiator back there.
That's actually the one piece of art that remains is the fancy light switch we put over that.
Oh, that's a fancy
Oh,
light
okay.
switch.
fancy
Oh, okay.
cover we got. That's supposed to
Does
look
it
like
show?
glass. Sorry?
Oh, stained glass.
Yeah.
You got to bring that with you.
Oh, for sure. I just got to remember where we put the old one to put it back on. For my landlord who's obsessed with having everything in this house be still here.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
We will, of course, talk about Lumines Arise. It's going to come up, but there was big news just earlier today that I said, okay, we gotta fit this into the podcast. We gotta squeeze it in. Valve made 3 hardware announcements all in one moment today. I think we got to talk about each of these. They are, namely, the Steam Machine, the Steam Controller, and the Steam Frame. But we'll start with whatever this panel finds the most exciting. Are you excited about any of these objects?
I was interested in how people named their videos, but you could tell what the outlet was most interested in. So, for example, Giant Bomb was like, we played Steam's new VR headset. And I was like,
okay.
Cool. And that was the first thing I saw. And I didn't even realize these other things had been announced yet. So I'm actually very excited for the Steam Machine and for the VR headset. A little less so, I guess, the controller. But which one should we start with?
I think we start with the Steam Machine because I think it is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
You think it's weird, even though all of this time and all of the rumors and everybody's been talking about that this is coming and this is inevitable, or what do you feel like is weird about it?
It's a console. You know what I mean? I think its execution is weird. So they had Steam machines before, and they would call them that, right? And that was when any manufacturer could make their own Steam machine. This one's straight from Valve, and I've already talked to this entire panel ahead of time. Everybody has agreed. None of us are going to make the Gabe cube joke, but it is a cube. It's a straight up cube. It's a simple black box with a line of light on the bottom, and you can customize the line of light. But what I admire so much about the design is how simple it is. So to me, it does seem to be like they're trying to cater to maybe a console market.
And yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, I feel like it right down to the 360 very replaceable faceplate feature, which I thought was really smart and as a thing where it's like, hey, you want to have this in your living room, you're going to want to have it match your decor or whatever. So I did think that was cool and it was smart. But yeah, I mean, isn't that where Steam has been headed, right? It's like, okay, how are they going to grow the Steam audience? They have pretty much PC captured. Okay, let's start to go after the console segment. So you got the Steam Deck and now maybe the Steam Machine now going fully after the living room.
To be honest, too, I can see this nabbing some of the PC folks as well. If you're in a position where you kind of maybe you work and you have like your Apple laptop, and you don't want to like get like invest in like a full gaming desktop, I could, or if your desktop is old and it's time to replace it, I could also kind of see this nabbing some of those people as well, which is interesting. Like,
or you just don't want to worry about replacing this and making your own custom kit or something like that. Like, you dabble in PC games, like I definitely do. And, a lot of us rely on that friend who is the friend who knows everything backwards and forwards, is going to help you put it together, is going to help you maintain it when you have to, replace this or that. They're going to come in. But like, here's a more off the shelf, kind of solution from a brand and a name you know and trust, as cliche as that is. And like, yeah, I can see a market. I am just waking up in Japan to see this news, but did they announce pricing and like different models? And I know very little about the actual
There are
details.
two different models, but they have not talked about pricing at all yet. And the
Okay.
two different models are just hard drive space.
Okay.
One's
Interesting.
2 terabyte and the other is, I think, like half a terabyte. I might have to double check on the actual space of that, but yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not designed to be like easily upgradable, or is it? Like,
You mean swapping parts? It is not designed for that, right?
Right. Okay. So yeah, I figured. So it is more like you have these models, and then you're going to go with one or the other.
Which that is a bit
Leo,
of
I get
convenience
the-
from the Steam Deck. I could see transferring really smoothly. Like as a lifelong PC gamer, it's so nice to not dive into the settings menu first thing on my Steam Deck. It's got like it is verified for Steam Deck, and it's set up when you boot it up. That kind of convenience is really appealing, and I would sacrifice some modability for that. I like having the freedom to, when you really have to, like the Steam Deck. I'm sure this will be the same where you can dive into the Steam OS, but I certainly have friends who like don't work on the computer, and seeing this, they're like, why do I need all the complicated parts of a computer as well as being able to play on it?
yeah.
What I think is super smart marketing is talking about, what this console is. They say it has 8 times the horsepower of the Steam Deck. So like, obviously that's like hard to imagine, like that's hard to imagine, right? But it sounds great, but it also like pivots off of your understanding of the Steam Deck in the first place. I think it's like a double smart marketing line to just say like, hey, it's enough. The console's enough. Imagine 8 Steam Decks, that's all they had to say. And it's all this thing will be.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Well, yeah.
And I was also, something interesting is it's like surprisingly small. It really is just a tiny little cube. Like it almost looks like a speaker. So, for the size and performance, like if it's consistent, I don't know. I'm just honestly, especially given how like a Nintendo Switch 2 is more, and even a regular Switch is more expensive now. I'm just like very curious to see what the pricing will be here, because I don't know. I could see it kind of feeling pretty weirdly a lot of uses, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, what was the big failure with the earlier Steam machines? I guess it was just too complicated. There were all these different manufacturers. It was just a kind of a muddled message. And this is much more of just like a console play, right? It's like, hey, there's 2 models. You know what you're getting. It's enough. Don't worry about it. If you never knew what Steam was and you just thought you'd only ever played a PlayStation and never done PC gaming, I think like the Steam Deck, this is a very like understandable, easy way to get into PC gaming. So, yeah.
Yeah. Another mini plug. I did an interview with Matt Piscatella of Circana earlier today. That'll be up. But anyway, one thing he talked about that I didn't even like think about, right, is how these are all direct to consumer, meaning that Valve is selling them straight to you from their own Steam stores. It's never appearing in any other like brick and mortar stores. So like there's like they're able to make it cheaper. Right? They don't have to have a cut for Target. So they can, just like the Steam Deck, right, sell it cheaper than most other things would have to be to add that on top of that. And I think that's so interesting. Valve has this thing where, and you can kind of see it in their marketing too, they have their audience and they don't need to work that hard to stretch out of it. The actual like announcement of these all of these hardware things that they're announced today is kind of low key, right? They're not spending as much on this as, you know, Xbox when they're announcing a Series X.
Crazy low key. I was very
Yes.
interested what you made of this, Kyle. Like just the fact that you're announcing 3 big deal things in one. I mean, even that controller, which now is kind of like the yes, also thing or whatever. In a normal, news cycle, that would be a big deal, and the new Steam controller. Now it's kind of like, oh yeah, and that. But having them all just be in like the one video too, and like the rollout, I'm just really, really curious, kind of what you.
And it has,
thought of that.
here's what's so crazy is they got like jokes in there. The way that they're
Right.
like the language they use on their website where they're like, yeah, it's got this, y'all. It's so weird. They do a kind of like, let's all go to the movies. Like the little dancing consoles themselves are like doing the exact same animation of the popcorn bucket that says, let's all go to the
Right.
movies. It's
Yes.
so weird. In that I think it's almost like the point of it is, hey everybody, this is not a big deal. This is just for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're not gonna buy a commercial on TV. This is just for the market we already have. Look up, you can enjoy what you have in more ways. And like that is what I find really, really interesting about it.
It's kind of your gamer friend talking to you about it in a professional way than like a produced slick Switch 2 or new iPhone, zooming in on the piece of hardware, kind of like, sexy Madison Avenue kind of piece,
well, and
right?
I think this is smart, especially as as we've seen a little bit of like slowdown, and like with each excessive like console generation, like the gaps between them maybe like don't feel like quite as exciting. And so like when like you're not selling something that is like, I don't know, like super hype driven, like I think it's very smart to kind of position it like that.
Yeah. If you compare this against like how the Series X was announced, you know what I mean? Or even like the shots of the super close up of the PlayStation 5 and like showing its curves before they show the actual form factor of the console itself. You're so right. They're treating that like it's, like it's the next era and everything like that. And this is the opposite of it. And I think it's true to the tone of what these actual devices are. I think it's a good play.
And is it it's just casually more powerful than the PS5 or even the PS5 Pro?
I think that's a no.
No.
I was like,
I don't think it is casually more power. I don't know how many times
how many Steam Decks is a PS5
how many Steam
5
Decks
Pro?
is a PS5?
let me search that real quickly. Chat.
Boil it down
help.
for 5-year-old us. Yes, please. I'm sure Digital Foundry has a video out on it now. I'm sure they answer this question. But.
What if this just became the unit for like every console, like from here on out? Like, how many Steam Decks is
PS7 is 200? Yeah, original Steam Decks.
Right. I heard
no new Steam Deck. All this new hardware announcement. But like at some point, right? Aren't we going to get a new Steam Deck as well?
To be fair, yeah. In the beginning of the video, they do say like we'll talk about that more at a later time. So like they got more to say about Steam Deck for sure, but not as part of this initial. Early 2026 is all they're saying for this stuff.
What I was thinking of unsourced claim is that they're saying it's the equivalent of a 4060, an RTX 4060 graphics card, which doesn't feel that long ago, is why I guess I made that leap.
No, you tell me. What is? And again, this is an unsourced claim that Leo just picked up out of the internet.
I'll source it to my friend Aaron in my Discord, who's often wrong.
But here's the thing: Aaron wouldn't pull that. I know Aaron. Aaron wouldn't pull this out of nowhere, right?
No, I'm embarrassed already. He said they're saying. You know what? I'm gonna report on that. 20,000 people listen to this.
Do we think Steam Frame has the potential though to be like a go-to VR headset?
I mean, I'm just curious what people. So I obviously have thought a lot more about VR and the VR market than like the average person at Enhance. Since our inception for the last 10 years, we've been making like VR optional games. We've always made games that could be played on 2D and can also be played in VR. And something we've had to be very, very careful about is making sure everybody knows like, hey, it's not just VR. It's not just VR. You can play all your 2D games, and I can talk about that like ad nauseum. But I thought was really interesting with this headset is they were kind of doing the same thing. Like the video that I saw with Valve pitching it, it was kind of from the start. It was like, hey, this can just be like a really nice big TV for all your existing Steam Deck libraries. You can just put on the headset and watch them that way. The controller is set up in such a way that it's totally friendly to all of those games. It's just like a one of their new controllers, I think, just like broken apart in half. But then if you want to just then go right into Half-Life Alyx and play a dedicated VR thing, boom, you can do that as well. And so I felt like it seemingly will become kind of, I'm guessing, and I haven't looked at all of the specs for this as well, but given Valve at the past doing really high-end premium headsets, I'm assuming this is going to be the new gold standard for at least mass market. There's these crazy like Pimax, edge cases of people making really high-end VR stuff. But I'm guessing there's going to be the new mainstream high-end VR headset. At the same time, kind of acknowledging like, hey, VR market is not huge right now. Like just VR is not enough for a new headset and to get excited and to justify this like new purpose. So like, I'm curious what people think about that. Is that like something that people would be excited for? Are there a lot of people with like, only one big TV and they need a second one because that's taken up by other family members, or, the kind of use cases of that?
Yeah, so like again, like to kind of describe it though to like anybody who can't see it right now, what I think is really interesting about the Steam Frame is, as opposed to like the Valve Index, right, which was like the high-end VR headset when it came out, where you'd have to like mount sensors to your wall and everything. It looks simplified. It looks like a nice little comfy set of goggles. They got like a jersey texture on the part that hits your forehead, right? So like it looks like nice and comfy. And so it does actually seem like a lot more, I guess, casual in its design. And I think that's pretty interesting because I would, previously their direction was hardcore.
Yeah,
and
it's
so,
a lot lighter too. Like a big improvement in that direction, which is pretty meaningful. As far as like making it a regular part of your life, it's kind of been hard to have such a bulky thing on your head.
Right.
As a VR lover myself.
To goggles, the better, it seems. Like also just like space, like storing it, like some of the older sets, you're like, okay, I guess that I permanently have a box like in my closet dedicated to like this one specific thing now. But this is like, okay, I could probably let this sit on my desk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see if they're still doing, Valve has been kind of carrying the VR torch. Alyx has been a few years ago now, but, there are all these stories here and there that they're still working on it. They obviously still are interested in the market and believe in the market. I'm curious if they will follow through on the software side, because high-end VR games are few and far between these days. As somebody who just launched a VR again optional game like yesterday, you run into all these things where people are not used to the messaging and how you categorize it and how you have to have the bug in your trailer or not about, it's VR, but it's VR compatible. And it's very clear that it's not something that people are hearing a lot of these days, and you can see the sales numbers and things like that. And so, I would love for this to hearken in like a new era of VR gaming, but that's definitely not going to happen without some big new pieces of software.
I gotta call it. That was such a funny. It's like an old TV phrase, calling them bugs. Just when you have some text on the bottom of the screen. Just to be clear, we're not talking about like like an error cut type of bug, but like just some text on. But that was such a funny thing because I was noticing those, because we'll talk about your trailers later on. But it is such a funny thing that you have to be like, it's VR, but not. You don't have to do it VR. We would love for you to do this VR. Like, it is really funny. You have to communicate all that.
We learned a lesson. Yeah, that's actually a big thing. So with our first game, VR was the new hotness, and it launched at the same time as a VR headset. It launched with the original PSVR. And so we did kind of informal surveys and talking to people, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, it looks interesting, but I don't have a VR headset." And it's like, "Oh, no. So right down to how it was categorized, and at the time on Steam, there wasn't a good way to display that, and whatever. And so yeah, that is absolutely, like, if you read our press releases and stuff like that, it's like very VR optional. Hey, you can play this in 2D. Like 90%, 80, 90, 95% of people who play it are going to be playing it that way. So yeah, that's something we sweat all the time.
I played Tetris Effect in VR.
Really?
I'm
Nice.
jealous.
It rocked. Great way to play.
But are any of you interested? Did they didn't announce the pricing on any of this, I'm guessing?
Nothing.
But is the frame, informal poll here? We got 3 people. Is the frame something anybody here would be interested in?
So I got a PSVR 2, right? I got that last year because it was on like a deep, crazy discount. And kind of like what Anna's been talking about, it's like in a laundry basket in my closet. It takes up a lot of space. Like there is something really appealing about the Steam frame's versatility, I guess. If it is cheap, I might be into it actually. Because that's the thing, is like
cable.
VR games are wild. Like you can just like do stuff in those that you cannot in any other game. You know what I mean? Just being able to pick up something and move it around exactly as you're imagining it is honestly such a cool feeling. But like the setup of it is so intimidating to me every time.
Yeah.
And it is, you have to kind of like get home from a long day of whatever, and then you come back and you're like, okay, it's kind of like there's a barrier there, right, to get over, to even with the cord and the grabbing the thing, whereas just the controller's right there. I totally get that.
Yeah. You mentioned like how, some major titles, like major software on VR would help give it that boost. And I think it definitely needs like some sort of exclusive like that, like, like kind of how Nintendo really benefits from its exclusives. But the other thing that I think for me that would make it a lot more compelling is just like, okay, don't at me if this is already possible. Like, let me play, Peak in VR. Let me play Repo in VR. Let me play all of like my fun little multiplayer proximity chat games with my friends, like in VR. And which, I'm like describing that and I'm like, wait, like that's probably a thing, especially maybe with like mods and whatnot. But because Peak seems like it's literally designed to low-key be played with the VR set. But
yeah, I mean, it's like the VR chat is the most fun VR that exists, and it's because of the proximity chat. So any proximity chat game I would love to see playable that way, but Peak is not.
But that kind of social stuff is the stuff that's popular now on Quest and stuff like that, especially as the Quest, the Meta Quest audience has kind of started skewing younger. A lot of people I've heard, it's like it goes into their laundry basket or their sock drawer or whatever, and then their kid picks it up, and that's kind of where the Quest audience has gone to anecdotally. But a lot of them, it's like Gorilla Tag and those types of things. It is that kind of the social experience, and it's just like a place to hang out together.
Not really our audience, but if there's like some popular Roblox games that get adapted to VR, I could see kids really liking that because of like the social elements and the
And you play tag with each other?
Kyle Bossman, you do not know of the wonders of Gorilla Tag?
No, I've never. I don't know.
Idea already.
Oh my God!
What is Gorilla Tag?
It's like I guess this actually is a good like telling thing, because it's like the VR market. It's almost like the mobile market. It's almost like a different space than like the mainstream gaming. But it's like, I say kind of, probably the biggest VR title of the last. It's kind of like the second Beat Saber in terms of like VR phenom and how huge it's become on in VR spaces
now. Yeah,
Google it. Yeah, it looks like I think it might have come out of a Roblox game or something. It came from a very humble beginnings.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Graphics are not the point. Let's just put it that way of the game. But it was like made for, it's very made for VR in terms of how you do your locomotion and
swinging.
I only barely know about it, but yeah, it is
I'm looking at the Steam page for it now, and it's tagged as psychological horror. Is that
People can submit that, and
Probably
I'm sure
somebody a
that's
joke.
true to their
You know the
experience.
early
Yeah.
tagger.
Yeah, that's
I
nice.
really wonder, like, it's funny you say that as the next Beat Saber, which it totally is the only point of comparison for something with that much appeal on VR, but it's almost like adults got it for Beat Saber, and then over the years, as they got bored of their VR and handed it down to their younger brothers, then something like Gorilla Tag takes off. It's like the next generation.
Like anecdotally, I made that up in my head, so I have no like data to prove that. But I do know that
feels
they
right to me.
lowered they did lower the age that you need to be, at least for the Quest, and that was kind of an acknowledgement. I think that their audience was skewing younger, and around this time, this was becoming popular. So yeah, you can see even on Steam, 40,000 reviews, and I think it's much bigger on Quest.
Standalone.
I wonder too, like in this vein, if the smaller headset will also be good for younger players. Like we were talking about it. Obviously, would be more comfortable, lighter, easier to store, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm like, now that we're talking about it, I was like, oh, actually too, like I bet kids would appreciate that, having something a little closer to their size.
I'll be curious how excited people get about the big screen TV kind of aspect of it, because I don't personally, I just don't, if I cannot wear a headset, I won't wear a headset. And so I've messed with like Vision Pro being able to have, a really big desktop, and the screen quality is getting so good now that you can actually, be reading text on a virtual monitor away from you. And it's really cool technologically, but it's not, it's not a pair of glasses. Like when it becomes a pair of glasses, like people will be doing it, it's still ski goggles. And so this seems to be one of the things that they're pushing. This is one of the new things, over the thing up until now. And I'm not seeing any of the reaction online, but I am curious if that's something that anybody cares about or if it's just kind of a bonus.
This is a quick, like a personal story, but like when this video came out today, right? I was watching on my phone vertically, and then I was like almost too lazy to go horizontal. I was like, all right, fine. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that I think like people like don't love like dedicating themselves to their videos that much to be like, oh, I'm really excited to have a headset that lets me watch big videos when like you can just put your phone up close to your eyeballs.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about being an iPad baby and just like sitting like 6 inches away from my screen when our TV is being used,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I the one time I watched a movie in VR was Sin City 2 on a Oculus dev kit plugged into my computer in 2014, and it was so, and it's unfortunately very memorable, the one and only time I did it, and that was, and so core to that, so important to that was, it's so cool that I'm doing this. I'm like the only person who gets to do this. It's like I'm in a movie
wears
theater
off after how long?
Yeah, it needs the novelty, and I needed to feel like I was a special boy for doing it at least.
Do you remember what happens in Sin City 2? Do you remember what the plot is of that movie?
Sin City 2, a Dane
Any
to Kill
single
For, you
plot?
Book report
Is it an
right now.
omnibus? Yeah.
I remember it was all the same colors as the first one.
Meaning 2 colors?
Right.
Meaning black and white?
With some fun twist ones. I could not tell you, and I almost summoned an actor, but then I remembered they're actually in the first one, so I don't even have that.
Yeah. Before we move on, I want to talk about the Steam controller real quick. It is basically, it looks like a Steam Deck without the screen, right? What I find appealing about it are the symmetrical analog sticks, and I want to know if that's controversial to this panel or not.
I would need to hold it.
Yeah.
It looks big.
Like,
I mean, it's a controller version of the Steam Deck, right? Like as far as the positioning of the buttons?
Parallel on the Steam Deck, they are.
They're weird.
So.
They on the Steam Deck, it is like, it's almost like a straight line. Leo, pull one up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I can't.
Whereas
I
in
can't
the controller, they're like they are
Which
slightly
every
like
other
down
controller,
a little bit
yeah.
for your thumbs. Yeah.
So the track pads are similarly under the thumbsticks too. It's pretty similar.
I wonder
Mm-hmm.
if it would feel more obvious that they're at the same spot, parallel, I don't know, longitude, because it's smaller. I feel like I don't notice that when I hold my Steam Deck. Fine. I don't know.
It actually makes me outraged on the Switch too when I am playing something that like I do use both analog sticks for.
Yeah.
Because you're like holding it weird.
I'm gonna
because
think about
the analog
this
sticks
now.
are asymmetrical, and so like the Steam Deck actually makes more sense to me because like
Yeah.
you grip with your thumbs as well. It's how you're counterbalancing this thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm also pretty on board for the paddle buttons.
Yeah.
Like
got
they
a
can go
couple of
ahead and make
those.
that a thing. More mainstream thing.
I've never thought about this thumbstick thing ever in my entire life, but now it's gonna haunt me.
There's just a lot of people on the internet who grew up with a 360 controller, you know what I mean? And they swear that it makes sense to have asymmetric analog sticks, and it drives me crazy every time.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I want to try this controller though. Do you all use the mouse pad thing? I forgot like the technical term because I actually don't.
Perhaps
I want to use
trackpad?
them. Yeah, the trackpads. Like I always
Very
with my
rarely.
Steam Deck, I want to use my trackpads, but I actually don't. And every time
Yeah.
I try to, I feel like a bad gamer.
They seem like they would be, more useful, but especially for any. I don't play a lot of games that are really like better mouse controlled than not, and so I very very rarely use the touchpads.
Yeah. I think the example they used in their video was Balatro, and still
Yeah.
I would rather just use buttons for that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Balatro. I'm trying to correct myself and say it correctly.
Balatro.
Balatro. Okay, Balatro.
No,
Excuse
I
me.
don't. I'm just trying out different pronunciations. different pronunciations. I don't actually know.
Balatro.
Balatro is what I usually.
And it's
hear.
wrong. Balatro's wrong. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you're supposed to say it like Balatro. You're supposed to just like let it pop.
Balatro.
But hasn't the developer said he doesn't
go ahead.
care?
Yes, he does also say that.
But you care.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. Because I feel like it's the same thing with like we were talking before the podcast, right? We were talking to Mark, and I was like, "Do you still do Gaming Jesus?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, And so I feel like in that certain way, like there's some people who are like humble about a thing. The creators like just say it however you want. But I had a feeling like Balatro is like what the intent was.
Wow. Yeah.
We've talked about this with Lumines as well. There's many different ways to pronounce that. God knows, and we've heard them all. But that's great because we made a video about all the different ways people pronounce it and how to pronounce it correctly, and it got a lot of views by our standards, at least. So
Nice.
thank
it was
you
like
for everyone
it
for
was like
getting
a-
it wrong.
Vertical like social media video, yeah.
We went for it. Yeah, I think we really went for it.
Actually,
on that one.
we're about to talk about Lumines Arise, but Mark, I just thought of a weird thing.
Okay.
Recently, I was looking up the original Transfarring video, which it's around the time
Oh
of
my
like
God.
Metal
It
Gear
was in one of
Solid.
your videos recently for like a split
Yes.
second, and I got a bunch
Right.
of people, and I'm like, oh God. And then thankfully I watched the video and you did not acknowledge me or my part in it at all, which I was very, very thankful for.
But I did not acknowledge it out loud, but I was still wondering like what you were doing. Like, why are you in that video about Transfarring?
So that's a great question. So as near as I can tell, like Jeff Keighley could not make it to Tokyo, probably that's just my assumption. And so
I don't think they were that tight back then.
No, they were.
Oh, okay.
I remember thinking while I was there, like you're talking about being fourth string. I'm like, I wonder where I was on like the call sheet, but I had to have been pretty far down. I'm not a host or on-screen personality, as you can tell from this podcast, probably. And they had lots of ideas.
What is the 8-4 play podcast? Who hosts that?
Well, that's an audio only.
Okay,
like
got it.
Nothing that nobody listens to, so I feel like that doesn't count. But like, as you know, on screen is a whole different thing, and you have to have like a kind of an energy, and like it's hard to do. Let's put it that way. Even just to have a normal, quote unquote, normal conversation. If you have a normal conversation, you seem like you're like a dead person. You have to have like more energy because the camera sucks it out of you. I don't know, whatever.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, I just basically was like, I was working at the 8-4 at the time, and we did work with them. I don't know if we were working on Metal Gear Rising yet at that point. We might have been, but we had a relationship with Kojima Productions, and so they asked us to do it, asked me to do it. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, of course. Not really knowing what it was going to be, so just kind of showed up, did whatever they asked. There were parts of it that they cut out. I will say, thank God, there were parts of it that they cut out, including an elevator ride that I took with Mr. Kojima, and where we were talking to each other telepathically.
As a funny bit, or was it dead serious?
Kind of both. Kind of both at the same time. So I was very relieved. You're just at the mercy of, when you film these things, then how it's going to end up. And so, yeah, I still get people, friend of the show, especially Brian Intihar, who's now like one of the big guys on Spider-Man and Insomniac, is always like, here. I think I say at the very beginning of that video, I like show up and he's at the top of an escalator or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I get for it to this day. You'll be happy to hear. But yeah, transfarring is back and now is very ahead of its time. It keeps coming up in different ways when people are like, oh yeah, transfarring, like Xbox Play Anywhere. Oh, it's transfarring. Like every 2 or 3 years, it seems like it kind of comes back into the conversation.
The video is so funny. He's got like printed out PowerPoint slides and he's like sifting through them to explain it to you what his idea is. It's so wild. It's fun to go back and look at that video.
Yeah, that was the famous Konami E3 that they didn't come to. And I think that was like, there was a lot of crazy stuff that year. So luckily at the time it was in the mix of a lot of other bad ideas. So stood out maybe a little less, but thank you for bringing it up though, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle Bossman.
I know. Like I know, but like Ben Hansen's like listen. Here's the thing: he's like listening to the podcast, right? He's gonna find some time. He's on paternity leave, but
of course,
this is killing him right now that we have not gotten to the main subject. But also, I want to ask you one more thing, because I noticed that you said, and because this is something I struggle with all the time. You said Kojima Productions, right? Which is how everybody pronounced it. But then when you talked about his actual name, you said Mr. Kojima, right? And so like, is that the differentiation? Is like you consider the company like the regular like Kojima, and then like when you're talking about the human himself, he's Kojima?
I like that you're ascribing this like very thoughtful extra thing to me, but no, it's very random. It's kind of like if you speak Spanish and you're just talking to somebody, or just like karaoke. Do I just say karaoke, or do I try to be like a douchebag and really try to sound like very authentic Japanese and be like, I'm talking in English and then like karaoke and then continue? I usually just kind of try to like split the difference and hope that it doesn't do one or the other. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think more about it when I say his name as opposed to Kojima Productions. Kojima
yeah.
Productions.
How long you lived in Japan?
2008, like the start of 2008. So I guess it's been about 17, 18 years or so.
Yeah, I find that really, because like just like even saying like Bandai Namco, you know what I mean? Like it's something I struggle with all the time. It's like I'm just gonna stick with this.
It is, yeah. It's the whole tortilla like thing. Like how far do you go? You don't want to be like the local newscaster clip where you're doing it. Some people can just pull it off really effortlessly, and God bless. Everybody's Kojima, right?
My sister-in-law does like to talk about her time studying abroad in Barcelona.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Wait, was that a joke, or is that how she does it?
That's how she does it, famously.
Oh, okay. Do you tell her to stop that, or is like that she does it like? Does she know she's doing it?
Does she get mocked, or does
support his family?
I do tell my wife she should do the same thing with her time abroad in South Africa.
Now that was a joke. No,
I do tell her that, but I'm joking when I say it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just we'll get a clean laugh.
Okay, yeah. And that was spot on. That was spot on.
Because it's different. Because it's different, but similar.
Let's talk about Lumines Arise. Mark, you are executive producer on that. What does that mean?
So I'm one of 3 executive producers. So along with my boss, Mizuguchi-san, basically it's kind of like a movie producer. Or I think how it works in it's you kind of do a lot of high level stuff, anything that needs to get the game done in the best state. So that could be like high level concepting stuff. What are we making? Should we have multiplayer? How like very high level targeting things, but all the way down to like very as needed, very like detail oriented, like, hey, this line break should go here, or like who is handling our EULA like agreement that you have to put at the start of the game. And like, so it's kind of a very broad, whatever needs to get done, you just try to fill in the gaps or find people to fill in the gaps, or just do it yourself, from the very first step of the process all the way through now, doing press and interviews and overseeing like bug fixes and getting user feedback, quality of life stuff, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you remember the first phases of this? Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that art director is Ishihara-san, and Mizuguchi. I don't have to put san on the end of everything, I guess, right? Too.
We like it. No, it's cool to watch.
I'll just skip putting san on the end of it. Now I'm feeling self-conscious about all of this stuff. I'm feeling self-conscious about all this stuff. I had that ingrained into me because I met Mr. Aonuma. I met somebody in Japan and was talking to him in Japanese, and I felt really great about it. This is like 2 years after I got to Japan. And right afterwards, my friend said, like, yeah, you really should put san on the end of his name when you're talking to him. That's like really rude that you didn't do that. And so now it's like, it's scarred trauma to me. So now I just do it instinctively. Anyway, so the way that
I'm so sorry. Have you spoken to him since then?
I have. He forgave me. We're still on speaking terms.
Great to hear.
Yeah. So Mr. Ishihara and Mr. Mizuguchi. Now that sounds weirder. The art director, and Mizuguchi, who does kind of like, he's kind of like the keeper of the concept and kind of like a sounding board for Ishihara-san. They gestate on an early idea. So pretty quickly after Tetris Effect launched, it was clear that it was doing well, and that they were very interested in then doing Lumines next. And so we did a lot more work on Tetris Effect after that. We did the multiplayer like connected add-on, but off and on for a couple of years, and there were other projects that got started work on or came in here and there, but the way that they like to work is they like to have a long period where they just do concepting and thinking about stuff, and just not every day, all day focused on it, but kind of like letting it slow cook in the back of their head and their subconscious and whatever, and then meeting semi-regularly, getting ideas out, concept art, things like that. And so, yeah. And so there's been artwork for this game, a lot of which the actual final product and levels turned out looking very similar to, but from years and years ago. I want to say maybe, even 4 or 5 years ago. And yeah, I thought it was cool, as much as it would make sense to do another Tetris Effect, I thought it did make sense to like to give that a break and to go do something new and different. And I mean, new and different still, while taking what we learned from Tetris Effect, keeping in the general genre, but like not doing just like straight on into a sequel.
Can I ask you a nitty gritty question?
Please.
Yeah, I'm going to ask it, I guess, and then you can say I don't like that question. Let us move on. So licensing wise, right? So like for Tetris Effect, I think you have to like pay a license to Tetris, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And then with Lumines, you do not. Is that correct?
So let's see, the exact way that it works with Lumines, like I won't get into too much detail mostly because I don't know the actual detail, but the original Lumines was published by Ubisoft in the West as we know it, right? On the PlayStation Portable. In Japan, it was Bandai Namco who published it domestically. And so the way that I understand it is that there is still, unlike Tetris, where we have to, anybody who takes the Tetris license has to get the approval, not just, pay for it, but also get the approval on everything, get sign off on what you want to do, and everything like that has to be approved by the Tetris company. Enhance, I don't know if it's owning the rights to that or whatever. We don't have to check with anybody about what we make or how we put it out or whatever. I do think that there is still an outside ownership where somebody else does get a little piece of something from anything that the Lumines series makes. There was a mobile Lumines 2 a few years back that was actually pretty good. But yeah, that's not to get too much into the weeds, but basically we could do whatever we wanted. But I think we do tithy out to somebody for the IP. Somebody co-owns it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, I have to apologize to the audience that we got nitty gritty before broad picture. Lumines is a block dropping game. It's a block dropping. Would you call it a puzzle game? Do you like puzzle for this type of game or no?
Sure. It's a lot of one of the other things we deal with is like going into these into the first party backends like the eShop or PlayStation Store or whatever. I forget which one did not actually have like puzzle as a genre anymore. It's not the hottest, like newsflash. It's puzzle is not the hottest genre outside of mobile, where it's kind of been largely, I think, shuffled off to, but yeah, we call it like a puzzle game, is if you want to put it.
Can you call it a falling Tetrominoes game? Because Tetris is a falling, but all the Tetrominoes are the same.
There are side modes where they're different shapes in Lumines.
This is true.
That's true.
So I'll take it.
I didn't know there's side modes where there's different shapes. You're teaching me bullet points here.
Yeah, they're good. I like. But
no. There's no way you can't say Tetromino. Like Tetris company will come for you if you say these are Tetrominoes.
Lumaminos.
Okay.
I'm not gonna,
okay, so I actually didn't know that was like an IP.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Well, how do you pronounce those?
Tetramino.
Tetraminos.
Oh, okay, Tetramino. I'm learning all kinds
from
of
the original Italian. Tetramino.
Tetramino.
The Italian man who invented them, of course.
My summer in Italy. My summer abroad in Italy. You can see.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, block dropping puzzle game. If you want to boil it down, like musical. The original Lumines was like what? It was like music and puzzle or something like that, which I think said it best. Fusion of those two things, hopefully.
Yeah, Tetris Effect being so music based in a way that was like kind of bringing it to Tetris. It makes I was like, I guess this makes sense, and then playing Lumines Arise, it's like, oh, this makes perfect sense. It's already so musical. The way the bar is sliding across to the rhythm, it feels like the ads that make it more like Tetris Effect feel very core to Lumines already.
It's funny because a lot of people, and even me and us internally, thought of like a shorthand for Tetris Effect for people who knew the original Lumines, which not everybody does, of course. That is an old series. People who were around and playing games and who owned a PSP, a lot of them do, and they have really great fond memories of it. But like, yeah, for your average person, just playing Lumines or playing Tetris Effect for the first time, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's like Tetris meets Lumines," and then now it's kind of like now people are saying like, "Oh, this is like now it's like we so you kind of like ripped off Lumines, and now with the new Lumines, people are like, oh, it's like Tetris Effect." So it's kind of like coming back around, full circle.
And so the object of the game is to make boxes, make squares, right? And so each block, not a tetramino, but we'll call them blocks, I guess. Do you have a word? You must have a word for what they are.
So wow, we had like a long conversation because it's we call them blocks.
Here we go.
Because all right, now let's get back into the nitty gritty. Because that block is we call them 2x2 squares is what we call them. Actually, I think we correct myself, because that 2x2 square is made up of, in previous Lumines games they were called blocks, but it's like, okay, but what is one block is made up of 4 somethings. What do you call those 4 somethings? That can be one of 2 different colors, like cells or mini blocks or whatever. And so we call them 2x2 squares. So yeah, they can be any one of the 2x2 blocks can be one of 2 different colors. And you basically want to make as many of those 2x2 squares before we call it the timeline, that thing that Leo was talking about, passes by, and that speeds up or goes slower to the pace of the music that you're listening to. And yeah, you can make these big combos. Once you make one 2x2 block, you don't have to make a whole nother 2x2 block. You can just add smaller squares onto it. And this all makes so much more sense when you're looking at. It's a very painful game to describe in text or words only, but seeing it, you kind of get it much quicker.
Literally, one time we did like a best of some list for Polygon, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna write about Lumines Remastered because this is one of my favorite games on the Switch, and I had like 40 words to describe it. And I was like, it's really simple, but also not. Okay, just try it. Trust me. You
drop blocks. It hopefully feels good. There's music. Yeah.
Somebody in the Patreon put it very well. Nikki Nam commented, Tetris is a game that makes me think. Lumines is a game that makes me feel. It's the first puzzle game I played more through instinct than logic. It's so fun, which makes sense because it's like you drop them and they split. And you were trying to match colors based on that. And it's almost like there's so many combinations and so many ways it could end up. You kind of don't have time to really picture exactly how it's going to go. So it does go based on vibes.
Okay, I have a question for you all. Because I almost feel like either you have Lumines brain or you have Tetris brain. And for me, Tetris, I feel like I have a really like natural feel for it. I feel very comfortable like managing the falling blocks. Whereas with Lumines, I always joke that Lumines is like it's I am like really, really bad at it. It's like my favorite game that I'm like horrible at. Like there's like some sort of like natural feel for it, where for me, like I spent so much time playing this game. Like I should not be as bad at it as I am, but it's just like one of those things that like I can't, I don't know.
I've been feeling that too.
We hear this. Yeah. I've heard this a whole bunch. And it was actually one of the things that we really tried. So like there's different levels of it clicking. Like with some people, almost anybody, you start to play it and it's just like any new puzzle paradigm. It's like, wait, what? And how does this work? And like blocks have to be split apart. And like when a block has 2x2 square has 3 of one color and 1 of the other, you just have to do it a bunch for your brain, like clicks, okay, what do I do with this block in order to get a 2x2 square? Because it's going to push up another block and et cetera. And so there's a level that you have to play to have it click. But then even when you kind of understand that, there's like different levels and like, the different way that different people think. I think it comes more or less naturally. I will say one of the things, because we very, early on identified this as one of the things that we hear a lot, and we wanted to get people more comfortable. We wanted to have a ramp for people who are like, how do I get better? Like how short of, you can watch good players, but it doesn't like necessarily like ingrain it into yourself. And so we have a was it, I forget what the final name we ended up calling it. It might be learning or something. It's like a tutorial section in the game that goes step by step by step by step. I mean, sometimes really like to my mind, like two little micro steps, but it's like, here, make a 2x2, make a 2x2. Now split this. Now sometimes you like use the timeline to erase stuff, and then you can. So there's all these different layers of depth to it, like like any good puzzle game. But hopefully, and I'll be really curious to see and hear this feedback. Hopefully that at least helps people get, oh, okay, here's the paradigm that I now at least intellectually understand it, and now then if you play enough, hopefully like it will click better. So like getting to that next skill level, whatever level you're at with Lumines, and kind of grokking the overall scheme and how it works, hopefully is something that will help with in this version of it.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because so I played through a decent amount of those, like the tutorial / like early challenges. And it really made me realize, I was like, oh, I also think that Lumines is kind of more complicated than Tetris in some way, which like, so, Tetris still like at really high levels, there's like a lot going on. But I think something about, I was really like thinking about it, and I was like, okay, this is actually a lot of space to manage. And like, even though there's only 2 colors, the way that they interact and fall with each other, it's like, there's a lot going on. And then the fact that it's not just squares and that you can chain together like larger rectangles and blah 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 once you get one. And then also, like you said, the timer, I was like, there's actually like, I think that's what's really cool about it, is that it is like quite complicated, like when you like you can make it as complicated as you want it to be, I guess.
It's interesting. Like the way that I've thought about it recently, or what I've noticed recently, is like at different levels. So like with Tetris, there's almost a right and wrong answer with what you're supposed to do with any one block. Like if you watch pro players play and they have the same setup, they almost go the same way. And if they don't, it's just because they don't have enough time or whatever. So, but in that, getting that is in a way like very complicated. And lining up everything to get Tetris or clear line is something you have to do. With Lumines, you could almost, at beginner play, you can almost just drop blocks, and there's a chance that things will start to clear, even just based on whatever.
And that's how I play, is I just I'm like,
so it's like
begging, pleading. I'm
They're
like,
both vibes based.
Cool is about
it's early on, it's potentially very not complicated, but like you're saying, then when you want to, like, there's a way I like to play, what I call it like layer cake, where you basically line up, instead of going for 2x2 blocks, you line up lines of things, contiguous lines, single block lines of things, and then a different color on top. And so when you get a chain block, which clears any of the same color blocks that are touching it, no matter if they're 2x2 or not, and it erases that, then you trigger a combo, and it goes on from there. And so like you're saying, it can get as complicated as hopefully you have an appetite for. But if you want to just vibe out to the music and clear things and set it on easy, and there's a couple settings that I think we call it no stress Lumines. There's a couple settings in particular in this version of it, because again, this is something we heard some people just really want to not worry about game over, or they don't want the blocks to fall. They want to play at their own pace. We added some options for that. So if you top out, it just clears the set, or and a few other things to just let people like play at their own pace.
I find it really interesting how much you've talked about feedback so far. Is this like focus testing or something more direct? It's
like indie level focus testing, which is like watching people play at Summer Game Fest. We have some people from our Discord that have helped us with previous games, some of which come from the Tetris community, who are players. People internally, a lot of high level Tetris players. We have some that actually work at the studio now, and then they have friends and things like that. And so we did not do a kind of like formal, like commissioned study. Although I'm not against those. Those are very helpful. We did those with we did one of those with Humanity, but they're not cheap either to run like professionally. So we've kind of done our own internal one with a group of 20 or 30 people. But over the course of the years, all that feedback adds up, and it's so huge.
Really
whatever level your game you're making, if you're one person making a game, I'm such a huge believer in that. Believer makes it sound like it's a controversial or anything like that. It's not. It's absolutely just so. Maybe I'll lead into the trailer discussion, because I almost feel like focus group gets like when you call it a focus group, it gets kind of a bad rap because it makes it sound like you're, people talking about like, what do you think? What when I say death tax? What do you think? Move the lever this way or that way, and it's used for all these kind of various things. But for usability, and a lot of people will say this, it's more in watching what they do and how they play more so than what they say, especially if they say like, here's how I think you should fix it. A lot of times that is like not as useful information, but it's very useful. They don't have to say like, oh, I didn't understand, I forgot how to activate burst, because they never used it. And so you can see that by playing it. So like, it's very, very telling.
Gotcha.
Even being at Summer Game Fest, and we had a setup there. I mean, that was really, really huge. That was the first people really outside of the company, and we probably had a few hundred people play it, and we learned a ton, even just from how we tutorialized the game to UI things to everything. I
got a question. So we talk about this. We talk about the feedback that goes into mechanically what you have to accommodate for and things like that, right? And so I think that like there's a whole like, Lumines is pretty much figured out, right? You have your mechanics there, but you do have to think about like how a new player would react to it or anything. Or what I think is really interesting, how a Tetris player would react to it, as Anna was just saying, or like as you have a bunch of Tetris players there, which I think is really interesting. But there's this whole secondary thing where none of that works if your playlist stinks. Like the puzzle game could be like outstanding, but if you don't have the right music, none of it works, which I think is really interesting for this game in particular. So like, what goes into developing that?
That's a lot harder to do, because it comes a lot harder to, I would say, like test for or balance for or whatever, right? It really comes down to the key creatives and what they believe, because you're not going to have an album. I mean, it'd be like a triple album. You're not going to have 36 songs, especially of all different genres. It's one thing if you like buy a CD, well, nobody buys a CD anymore except in Japan. But like, it's one thing if you're going to, listen to a playlist of like bluegrass guitar music, and that's what I want to hear. And there's 36 tracks, and I already like bluegrass guitar music. That's why I'm listening to this playlist. This game goes all kinds of genres, and so you didn't necessarily sign up for these different genres when you're playing it. So that is really hard. You can get feedback where it's like, I hate this song, or these lyrics are stupid, or you can get that with graphics and things like that. But it's more, okay, well, why do you hate it? And we can kind of get to a more objective place. Oh, it's getting in the way, or this didn't feel good, or whatever. A lot of it with music just comes down to feel, and so that's something where we just really have to trust more in the kind of key creatives. Hydelic, who did all of the music for Tetris Effect, collaborator Ishida-san, and then like I mentioned, Ishara and Mizuguchi-san earlier. It really comes down to them and how they're feeling. And the songs are changing constantly as the game is developing, and almost always for the better, in my opinion. But there were a couple times where it's like, oh, I like the earlier version. You get kind of married to it, an earlier version of a track. You're like, oh, I miss that old like hook that happened here. But yeah, a lot of that you just have to go with the gut of the people who are charged with it, for better and for worse.
Is it all original music?
It is, yeah, and that's something we got asked about a lot about because of the series. You know, the lineage, original OG Lumines for the PSP again was like really well known for a lot of licensed tracks. It might have been all licensed tracks, but with Tetris Effect, what we learned is like you can get a lot more out of it. A lot more of the interactivity and the sounds that you're making, adding to the music. They're kind of quantized to the music, right? You can dial that in a lot better when you are making the music, when it's not already set. And so I definitely do get the appeal and would have loved to have like a callback stage to, you know, Shining or whatever. But also music rights, frankly, are like a huge pain in the ass and to deal with. And especially now, when
we say bottom here at MinnMax.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Pain in the bottom, please.
Leo got that, I'm sure.
And unpleasantness, honestly, instead of pain would be great.
Wait, is booty okay?
Yes, extremely okay.
Okay.
Judgment call. Ben's not here. Ben's not here. We're gonna just start saying booty, Leo.
Okay. Yeah.
But with the way things are now and coming out on later systems and like compatibility, forwards compatibility now being a thing, which didn't used to be a thing. You know, you used to be able to, I'm going to sign away these rights for the PSP version and it's never going to exist on any hardware ever again. That's not the case anymore. And so it gets complicated and expensive. And like, we're not against it in theory, but it's not like a financial decision that we didn't do that for. I think that there could be some really cool possibilities doing licensed music again with the Lumines gameplay, but yeah, in this case it was like a creative decision that they wanted to really, they went back and forth, and like I said, it changed a lot. But like one of the things we've talked about that was really cool with this process that got even better than Tetris Effect is there would be art direction for a level, and the music side would look at that and make a music track for it. Sometimes there'd be like a placeholder music, some actual music out there that's kind of like, this is kind of the vibe that we're looking for. And they would take that, make a track, put it into the game. Then the art team and the effect team hears the music and they're like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to add an effect or add artwork for that. Or like, this makes me think of this other thing. I'm going to lean the level more into this kind of feel. And they would do that. And then the sound team would see that. And they'd kind of like add up on to one another and as it iterated. And I think the game is like way better for it. And that just, yeah, that wouldn't happen with licensed music.
How big is your team?
So let's see. On this project, just on the dev side, I want to say it topped out about 20 people, maybe.
Yeah, what you're describing is so cool to me. Like you need a small team to be able to bounce off each other like that.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Like that would not happen at the pace that we would need it to happen to in like a huge team. So yeah, pretty small by small indie standards, pretty big, but by regular, I guess, A standards. I won't call it the triple A, but whatever. By other objective standards,
yeah,
like
that's an
small.
A game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you today? So the game came out this week. Do you like you were talking about getting feedback at the live events? Do you are you been checking reviews? They've been pretty good.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone is there refreshing Metacritic, when the game goes live. I think that's what happens with any game launch now. Not so much about the aggregate score, although that's nice to know too, but just as a nesting place for
you want to read the
reviews.
words.
As soon as they go up, that's just a good one-stop shop, and there's a good thread on Resetera that they were updating and stuff like that. But yeah, 1,000%. And I'm not caught up on all of them, but yeah, you also want to pretty quickly turn around Accolades trailer and get that obligatory image up with as many high scores as you can. So there's practical marketing reasons and PR reasons to be following, but yeah, just also you want to know how people are taking this thing that you've worked the last bunch of years. Do you guys like get into the comments immediately upon putting stuff live, or do you have different policies for how you take feedback or not?
I read a lot of comments, especially immediately, because I'm terrified I miss something super apparent and video breaking. This doesn't have audio for the first half, that kind of stuff. And then I peter off. On MinnMax, I feel like I read just about every comment. There's like enough that it's manageable where I end up reading them all.
So on your own YouTube channel, you're saying that the comments just become unmanageable.
Right. Not to brag.
Gotcha.
But I do love reading those too. But yeah, I don't keep up with the percentage isn't the same.
What about you guys?
I think I asked because like, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask about you guys.
I would read. It would kind of depend. Sometimes I'd read it myself. Sometimes I'd ask my colleagues to monitor it for me and then flag if there's like an actual concern. Like if there's like an error, if someone something
you
like
need to know.
Yeah. But
that's
I would get
idea.
like a lot of like not nice things, and so sometimes like not all the feedback was like in, like I want to hear any feedback that's like in good spirit. It's
right.
genuine.
That's a big
feedback.
Difference, right? Yeah, between like reading reviews and reading comments, I think there's like a huge gap there.
Yeah,
where people have to be responsible for the words they're putting in reviews.
No, that is true, but I also am not. It's not just review. I mean, I'll read reviews, but I'll get into Reddit and all the different types of social media, and for better and for worse. Because I just imagine. Yeah, we get into a larger discussion on this or not if you guys are interested. But to me, it's like it's tough to do that once every couple years. I don't know if it's better or worse doing it every day. It's hard to imagine as somebody who has to do it, only once every couple years, because I think you have to develop a thicker skin, doing what you all do to any extent where you're dealing with a larger community like on a daily basis.
I definitely expected that to happen, and I don't feel like it did. I'm sure it's still harder. Like years have gone into this, and now it's the one day where everything's coming at once. Like that's a lot more complicated. But it also, I don't think would say I've gotten used to it or can let tough things roll off that much easier than when I ever started.
Yeah. And that's why like support networks are really helpful. And like for me, I was like, okay, what's one way that I can rely on support? It's like having someone else like maybe read the nasty stuff and make sure that there's, anything genuine to learn scattered throughout it. I was curious, like as a developer, like are there like certain social media sites or like places that you feel like tend to be like, I imagine Resetter as kind of like maybe a little nicer than like random Reddit posts, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that is true. I think that is the case. I go there just as a matter of habit, but I don't have like a lot of go-to spots. It's just basically, especially when it's with regards to the game coming out, it's tough because I do want to see it all. I don't want to see it all, and I do want to see it all. And so, I kind of just go wherever, skipping ahead into the middle of a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that, and a lot of podcasts and stuff like that.
I found when people are reacting to my videos, I'm like really scared to watch that.
Oh, that's a huge difference. Yeah. I 100% get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like every little moment is going to be under the microscope. Every joke I was like really proud of. I see them not react to. That's hard.
Yeah, you're like, I get 100%.
What about you, Kyle Bossman? Do you get into the comments?
No, kind of very much like Leo, where it's like, so what's the crazy thing is like most of the time I'm posting a video, it'll be like 7 or 8 a.m. because I just like work on it, right? And then I'm posting it in the morning. And then before I can like close my eyes and fall asleep, I need to read the first 10 or so comments to make sure there's nothing broken. And sometimes there is. Sometimes there's like, hey, bro, there's like 3 seconds of silence. And I'm like, oh my God. So I get out of bed to go like re-edit and re-export it. And then
you're pulling an all-nighter? generally pulling an all-nighter? Oh, wow.
Generally,
okay.
they're all-nighters. Yeah.
That's why
I was wondering how you got reactions so quick. It seems like so much stuff happens on like Wednesdays and Thursdays in America time, and you seem to have like very quick reaction. They always go up Friday night Japan time, and for whatever reason, my on my TV, whatever is happening with the algorithm is working for you, because it is always
sounds great.
Always Kyle Bossman like in the pole position right there. But that's crazy that you're doing that's like that reminds me of the old 1UP show where they would pull an all-nighter every single week. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets the job done. And honestly, like I feel like I don't get stuff done without like a pressure, without a ticking clock like that. So it helps out a lot.
But so outside of those first 10, you'll
Oh no, then I like to see the other comments, but like it's not something I'm not exhaustive about it. I don't read every comment, which I do feel bad about, right? Because like I guess unlike reviews, right? We're comparing reviews to comments. Reviews, they're servicing, an entirely different audience. They're assuming you're not reading it. But I feel like when people write a comment on your YouTube channel, they're almost like writing to you. They're writing you a little message. And so it is kind of rude not to read them all. But some of them are not written at all. Like they're writing to me personally. So, it can be a little bag of both.
Yeah, I feel like it's a tricky thing with what you guys do, because you want to read it, you want to know it, but you don't want to, even unconsciously, like sometimes you have to say stuff, I feel like, that somebody's not going to be happy about, right? That like hurts somebody's feelings. You don't want to do that, and that's not the design of it. But you have to be good at your job, I feel like you have to be talking like the same way you would to like a friend and being honest about it and stuff like that. And people are not going to like that. And I feel like that was something that back when I was doing writing and stuff like that, it was much easier because there was a much longer delay. I was mostly doing magazine writing and stuff like that. But if I knew somebody was reading or watching or listening or whatever from a certain outlet or something like that, I think it would creep into, again, unconsciously or whatever, but into what you're saying and stuff like that. And I feel like dividing that out, it's like an interesting but tough balance to me.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of do I adjust what I'm saying to make the least amount of people upset? Like when people are upset at what I'm saying, how justified is that? Versus you're never going to say things in such a perfect way that nobody is ever has a problem with you. It's just like, what can I stand by? What kind of comments am I okay getting, and what kind do I go, maybe I should learn from that?
Yeah, because I think like if there's been one plus side to being laid off, it's like really having the time to think and process, like, okay, like really grapple with the fact of like how much I feel like that internet gaze on my writing, and like how much I would over explain myself or like add in, like another sentence acknowledging a point that I don't think is like amazingly pertinent, but like I know someone's going to bring it up. And so I need to like flex my knowledge. And does it make for like the best article ever? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because I believe in like a nice short article because people are busy. And so, you never want to internalize.
You end up having to go like, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying this, when you're writing with that.
Right. Yeah. Caveat. All right.
Please don't misread the headline. Please don't misread the headline.
Right. Yeah. So sorry for the digression, but very front of mind for me right now as I've been and so like developers of games as a service game, I mean, this is a real thing. If you work on like a Destiny or something like that, like, I mean, in the same way of what you guys do, I just it's very front of mind right now, like thinking about it and going through comments and that dynamic of human nature where it's like 100 positive comments, one,
of course,
negative thing, like,
so true.
Anyway.
Is it harder because or easier having a big team on this one project where certain bits of hard feedback are like, well, that wasn't my fault, or is it like, well, now they're insulting my friend?
I think both at the same time. It's like, I said that same thing. I mean, you'd hear this all the time. I remember hearing this, like, you'd go up at Bungie and play whatever, like Halo 3, and then you're like, oh, it should have had this. And they were always like, we had that discussion. You don't understand. We had like the biggest fight over that. Here's the reasons why we couldn't do that, And so like sometimes that makes it better, but sometimes that also makes it worse. It's like, I fought for that and it couldn't get through, and I can't explain to everyone of the with a megaphone why. But luckily Lumina has been so positive, nothing bad said about it at all anywhere, and it's so wonderful, and everybody.
That's always nice when it works out that way.
I gotta ask you one more Lumines question.
Yes.
It's about the little avatars, which kind of makes sense to me. It's like a like a little progress. I mean, their progress is infused in this character that you bring along with you. What are they named?
So they are named Lumi, Loomii, trademark reserved, all rights. Don't sue us, Nintendo.
That is what I was going to ask. Is like, where do you get the nerve to have the word "me" in the name of your avatars?
Lumi. It's Lumi. They're not to be referred by any kind of shorter nicknames at all. If anything, you can call them Lus. If anything, you may call them
problems
Lus
at that
or
point.
LMs. Death Stranding would be a LM if it was Death Stranding. Yeah, they're kind of a throwaway. I mean, they get much more prominent. Lumines has always had like avatars, but you always have with the puzzle game. It's like if you're not doing microtransactions and you want to have people like earning some, fantasy currency, which a lot of puzzle games now that's just kind of where they go. It's like, okay, well, what is the larger sense of what you're unlocking? And so there's unlocking levels and challenges and stuff like that, but we also like put in this this thing to like, hey, there's a multiplayer section where you can show off your avatar, and kind of it's now like your mouse pointer and stuff like that, but like as a maybe hopefully as like a little extra added incentive, or I guess reward at clearing out some of the challenge modes and things like that. Like this game has, like Tetris Effect had these effect modes that kind of spun up that Leo talked about, I think, before, that kind of remixed the basic gameplay. And in this game, they have these things challenges. And so a lot of those, I think, are things that people might not, there's like, I just want to play like the main game, but maybe this is like a little carrot to get people over to them. Some of those modes, I think, are actually, some of the most fun that I've had in the game. And there's a bunch of them. Not all of them are going to be for anybody, but like a few of them, I think, like people will find a couple that they like.
Do you hide some good Lou stuff behind the weirder modes to incentivize that?
There are some rare. There's actually some. There's some rare loot if you play during the weekends. There's like a little Tetris Effect.
Like that's like so Pokemon Silver kind of thing. I love that.
We have that now. So yeah, some good loot stuff there. If you play, check it out every weekend. You just have to play a little bit, and then if the community makes a goal, then everybody gets some good loot rewards.
Guide it
like
immediately. Rarest Lou guides.
Yes.
All right, I gotta be honest with you. I'm feeling self-conscious at this point that Leo has not, up to this point, interrupted me and asked how this whole thing is put together.
That'll be right before emails.
Oh, got it. Okay, because like we're like an hour and a half deep into this bad boy, and I'm like sweating this whole time. I'm like, oh my gosh, is it time to talk about how this whole thing is put together?
No,
okay.
That remains a mystery at this point.
Got it. All right. So we're gonna do trailer talk. We gotta do it abbreviated though, because I am looking at the clock now.
Fine. And I mean, it's up to you guys. I just thought it'd be interesting because I love, Kyle Bossman. You get into the weeds on trailer stuff. I don't even consider it getting into the weeds. This is like we talked about the kind of focus group stuff.
Yeah.
I honestly think there should be a service where people watch your trailer. Maybe Game Awards should offer this, and it should be you doing it, where they watch your trailer and they're like, okay, well, everyone is going to think this when you did that. And like, that everyone is going to, you should say these 3 words just before you start the trailer, or what, you get into like the perception and how it's going on during the trailer. And I feel like that's more important than ever because there's so many reaction videos and everything is happening in real time and stuff. And so I was like, hey, if I could get him to do that for free, that would be amazing.
Or
until
on
you start up a
MinnMax's dime.
service where you charge people for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know on MinnMax's dime.
All right. So here's the thing. I think that the Tetris Connected announced trailer is a 10 out of 10. Like that's as good as a trailer can be.
Yeah, landmark.
So
That's
like
awesome.
you're
Thank you.
already like you're that's your ceiling though. Do you know what I mean? So coming in with these trailers, you have to you basically can't do better than that, you know? And so I think that's like a tricky thing running against it. So that's what I really liked about the reveal trailer, which was in Sony's press conference. So it was their showcase this summer, right? Yeah, the state of play. And I don't know, they like helped you out with a really nice transition into it. What I really like about it.
So we proposed that. We proposed
cool.
that. Yeah. So we proposed the timeline wipe. And again, I don't know how much you want to get into the weeds, but the challenge here is like, good luck making an interesting trailer for a puzzle game, like for any puzzle game. Right. It's just not. Look. What are some gold standard? Thank you for mentioning the Tetris Effect trailer. That is very nice. But like, how many trailers are? It's just gameplay and then words and gameplay and words. That's it. That's every puzzle trailer that's ever been out there. And also, that's the game, right? It's not like you're on a jet ski and doing headshots and there's not a lot of like crazy hero moments in a lot of puzzle games. And so like, how do you make that interesting and also not just spend a lot of money and time and whatever? So anyway, wanting to show that timeline at the start of it and signal to people, hey, if you know Lumines, maybe you kind of get an early take that it's not Lumines. If not, you probably think this is another Tetris Effect trailer, and that's okay because the game is from the same team. And sorry, I interrupted you. Please.
No. That's what I was curious about. That's interesting that like that was your proposition to them. That's really, really interesting, actually. Okay, so I think it establishes that really well. Here's my criticism.
Go for it.
Leans too heavily on the walking guy. So like there's this silhouette of a confident walking strutting man, you know? And the trailer leans heavily on this man's silhouette and then ends with this guy walking towards us as if he thinks he's cool. And there's no reason for us. What?
I'm happy you noticed even that he's now walking.
Towards us.
Yeah.
It's the jacket.
It's a jacket. Is that, Leo, like, do you
I got
think
a lot of
this guy
good
looks cool?
comments about that. Alan Wake and like people thought it was an Alan Wake puzzle game. Yeah. So we could go back to earlier parts of this conversation about stuff that's talked about internally and not talked about internally. But I will say that the decision was made that the walking guy, as you termed him, was going to be kind of the key art. If you look at Steam, if you look at whatever, that was going to be the hero image of the game, and was also going to be, it was also the first level of the game, and also got across certain themes of the game and things that people had deemed important for reasons. So yes, that's but
I don't think he's not like the humanity dog. You know what I mean? Like if you had the humanity dog, that I think would be a much more compelling trailer and key image. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah,
who is that guy, right? I forget. I saw a couple other good things. I think the guy from Silent Hill 2, people were.
I was thinking like Max Payne. He's kind of Max Payne the way he walks.
Yeah, Max Payne got the jacket there too.
Because that's the thing. Like maybe if he like had a hunch, you know what I mean? Like maybe if he was a weird guy, I think we'd be more compelled to find him.
He started off crawling, and then he got into a wheelchair, and then he was walking,
but if
and then
it was
running.
Benjamin Button, it's just living his life in reverse. Yeah, creepy little.
See, this is why I want the trailer workshop ahead of time.
Yeah,
if I had these ideas,
if he had been a man at the start and then at the end of the trailer he's a little boy now.
Yeah,
we're cooking.
Yeah, that's something.
We're cooking.
That's deep and meaningful somehow. I know.
I do understand though. Talk about marketing a puzzle
feedback.
game. It's a miracle to have a guy at all. Like having a guy, you want to rally around that rather than just the blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it is I remember with that Tetris Effect trailer. I'm so glad you like that. So like this guy Yamada-san who we worked with and Muto-san, that's all done like in house. There's not like a big agency or whatever that we hire for or whatever. It probably looks that way or whatever. But I remember I think Trump had just got elected the first time, And I mean, it was such a the whole world was in just and I remember thinking, I mean, one of the things of Tetraspect was supposed to be, hey, like, just escape for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Just like, you can turn all of this off. And so we played a lot around with ideas, because again, like, what do you do with the puzzle game trailer? But we played around with a lot of ideas where like, it was going to be, you know, you were getting a lot of bad news via screens, little square screens. So whether it was your cell phone or your TV or the internet or whatever, and it was going to be like bad news, in little TVs, and then zooming out, and it was going to be like then cleared in some kind of Tetris way or whatever. It was like way too, you know, up its own behind, I think.
Insanely conceptual. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's very conceptual too. But so yeah, good thing that we ended up where we did. But I just remember, like, and we had it again this time, and if we do anything else in this genre, we'll have it again. But it's like, what do you do with, you know, with the puzzle game? It's pretty tough.
I think the launch trailer is really good too. I think you do focus on the looms. They look great, right? But essentially, what makes the trailers good, and again, like talking about how the game itself hinges on the music. It's the music and its implementation of it, right? So like keeping the edit so infused with the music that you have in the game itself. By the way, last question though. You talked about how songs change throughout the development of the game. Both trailers, the reveal and the launch trailer, use the same song, but it's dramatically different. Is that like how it presents itself in the game itself?
So it gets into this kind of complicated thing where it's actually, there's two different versions of that song. The trailer is the version that was in the announced trailer is actually its own different thing. It's kind of an amalgam of two different songs that's not in the game as such. And a lot of people have noticed that, and they're like, hey, where's the song that I like from the trailer? We released that as a single, but doesn't exist as it is in the game. And so that it did evolve though between the two trailers, and this new trailer is not also like from the game 1-to-1. It's like mostly the original trailer is two songs put together. The launch trailer is the second half of the song, the newer version of it, kind of modified. So yeah, like crazy, long story, boring.
The launch one was the mashup. That's actually crazy.
Yeah. And so that was something where also that music starts, the launch trailer starts really quietly. And there's all this data, like in the first 5 seconds of your video on Steam. I think Steam has like said this publicly, like, don't bother with your logos. Don't bother with it. Most people will click away in 5 seconds. You have literally 5 seconds. And I don't know if you guys like deal with this with making, you know, YouTube thumbnails, and I don't know if you give a shit about this kind of stuff on YouTube. Kyle, I know you have your like stinger or whatever you call it at the start of the video, which I don't think is designed a cold open. I don't think it's designed around like hooking people in your case, but yeah, you have 5 seconds. And so we were like, well, this is the launch trailer. We have to just show the game somehow immediately. Just like, hey, puzzle game, before you click off, hey, this is a puzzle game. But like, yeah, again, trying to do that in an interesting way, using the pieces that you have or don't have. I'm really, really interested in the whole like video game trailer space and how people do it and how people position their trailer. Like the two words that the little two sentences that Jeff says before a game is introduced, before, you know, it's shown, how much that positions it and changes perception and like that whole space. So please continue doing all of that very, very detailed analysis for trailers. It's very helpful for some of us who have to think about it, you know, professionally every once in a while.
Sure. But now let's talk about Seance of Blake Manor.
What?
Seance of Blake Manor.
Are we having a seance right now?
I'd love to, but there's a lot of steps I think involved.
I'm sorry. I don't know if you're saying something. I can't hear you because I'm not wearing my Turtle Beach Stealth 700 headset. That's right. Turtle Beach is sponsoring the show this week. They want you to know you can get 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code MinnMax with 2 N's like normal. Turtle Beach's Stealth 700 headset has an insane 80-hour battery life with quick charge technology. The Stealth 700 has a first-of-its-kind dual wireless transmitter system that they are calling Crossplay. So that's what Crossplay is now. It means you can seamlessly switch between your consoles and PC with merely the click of a button. It can even connect to your console and your phone at the same time, so you can play music or phone calls through your phone whilst gaming. Turtle Beach doesn't just have headsets, they got controllers, keyboards, mice, and more at turtlebeach.com. Anna, remember the beach from Death Stranding? How there was a beach in that?
I thought we were gonna riff on Turtle Beaches.
Yeah, no, I had a riff planned.
You can't plan a riff.
sorry.
You can't plan a riff. That's messed up.
I'm so sorry.
Are you sure it was going to be about the beach from Death Stranding?
Okay,
How there was a beach in that.
Oh,
That's a crab
What's your
beach, though.
bit?
Well, we'd find it in the riff.
Okay, yeah, let's find it. Let's workshop this.
All I have is, you
Wait,
remember
what
how there
the
was a beach
pre-baked
in
riff?
that?
I want to hear the pre-baked riff. Give it to us.
It was just this,
Yeah.
gonna get it flowing by remembering how there was a beach in that game.
There was the
Remember
Princess
the beach
Beach.
in that game?
Right.
Yeah.
Remember that meme, Princess Beach?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Oh yeah,
Princess Beach.
That was funny.
That was funny.
yeah. That's not even like that's dialogue from the game. Yeah, she said, "I can be your Princess Beach."
You can get 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code MinnMax with 2 N's. What a savings.
I'm sorry. Does the ad copy like just say "and now please banter" in the script?
No, I thought it'd be fun to add that in.
Oh, okay, no, it was fun. Nobody's doubting it was fun.
my
or not.
own. I tried to make it my own. I don't know.
You're always encouraged to make your own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
really.
cool boy.
That was really a MinnMax exclusive read. I love that.
Yeah, they wanted it to be about Christmas. You know, get something for Christmas.
Oh, and you said no. You said no, not
Yeah,
yet.
you were like, I refuse.
I said
Leo.
I actually
You're
have a
an
lot of
artist.
ideas I'd love to bring to this one.
Do you know where I want to go during Christmas in Minnesota?
The beach.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
See?
Let us please talk about the Seance of Blake Manor. Would that be appropriate at this moment?
Sure.
It's a mystery game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it kind of feels like we've had a lot of those lately, but I don't know if that's true at all, or if it's just because Blueprints was such a nuke that went off this year that it feels like that's all we're getting is mystery games.
Yeah.
But it is a very unique twist on it. Like, you know, you think, oh, I just played Blueprints, I don't need to play a mystery game, but they're doing some very unique stuff in the gameplay of it.
This is the friend of, I'm just looking at it now, friend of the show, Danny O'Dwyer, I think has been really excited about this game and talking it up. I've seen a few people talking about it, but I've not played it at all. I'm very curious about it though.
We could compare it to Obra Dinn, right? Could we say it's an Obra Dinn like?
We could.
Is it?
Okay.
You're nodding.
Just to viewers, I saw some really non-confident nodding. But you're putting things together, right? You're interviewing people, you're looking through their rooms, and you're kind of like assembling clues to put a story together, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. And what I appreciate about this game is that it keeps your goal kind of like focused based on like the phase of the investigation that you're in. And so like, you know, Blueprints, you have your set goal and then you work towards that, like from start to finish. Whereas with this, it's like, you know, the mystery you need to solve. But I actually really appreciate how there's like a lot of information to parse and so many things to observe. But what I appreciate about this game is how structure like the specific thing that you're trying to figure out, or like the answer you're trying to hypothesize, really structure it and make it feel.
Yeah, it's cool to have, like, you know, we all like a notebook game, well, most of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to be taking notes and to feel
Yeah.
like you're a real detective like that. But then having this
Yeah.
game kind of take that out of your hands, it is a real
Yes.
relief. It's like,
Yes.
oh, and it is really impressive to make a game that does that. You realize how much work goes into it to have each piece of evidence have its place on the map, have the lines drawn
Yes.
between them where it is all so
Yes.
readable, and every bit of information you could have wanted to remember from the conversations you're having with these characters is super accessible. It's really impressive.
100%. Yeah. And that's actually what I like a lot about this game is that I really enjoy blueprints, but I really like to cozy up with a good mystery game, like a mystery novel. And I think something is nice about this is like, I feel like I play it on my Steam Deck, just like sit in bed. I don't need like a notebook and my special color coded pen with me.
Yeah.
Like make sure everything's organized. Like
with blueprints, did you go deep into having your own notebook and everything with blueprints? Yeah.
I just needed that, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like for that game.
That game kind of did ask for that. I feel like at a certain level to be doing that, you kind of did need that.
Yes, and even Root Trees Are Dead, which I've been playing and is really good. You don't have to take notes with that, but you do have to type and you do have to remember, and you can highlight things and save them to your notebook. And this is so streamlined to the point that I wonder if it's a detriment. At this point, all the hypotheses have been, Mad Libs, drag the clues here, and it's like the only sentence that makes sense is the correct one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Have you played Case of the Golden Idol?
No.
So it uses a very similar Mad Libs format to that. It's interesting because I think that game really teeters, it walks the line between like needing a notebook and not needing a notebook. But uses like the system. If you played Case of the Golden Idol, the systems in the Seance of Blake Manor will be familiar to you. But in Case of the Golden Idol, it's not Mad Libby to the point of like there's so many words and like so many possibilities. And like the hypotheses, like case solving is so much longer, involves so many more characters that at least at the point of Seance that I'm at now, it's not quite at that same.
Yeah.
So I got two questions. Is the mystery fun? Like, you're having a good time with the mystery itself?
Big time. It's magic mystery, this seance, obviously. And magic is just around. It's not like, is this real? Is it not? It's like there's ghosts. And so that's an interesting part of the magic part of the mystery is who is magic at this place, like who can really tap into these things and who can't. And there's, it's a spooky haunted manor. So there's mysteries about the hauntings and like, is it real that this person sealed up this couple in the walls of the hotel? Cool, creepy
stuff. So the
stuff.
magic has rules.
Yeah. And factions.
Here's the thing. I feel like if you got a mystery, but also magic is real, it like kind of dissolves a lot of mystery stories.
Sure.
Like, oh, well, I did it with my magic. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. So I feel like a really important thing is for the magic to have structure and rules for there to be any stakes in the mystery itself.
Yeah, but we'll see how it resolves if they walk that line. But for now, it is like, you find out something about the magic and that's added to your evidence board like anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like these things are concrete.
That does seem potentially problematic for a mystery if at the end it can be like, and then they appeared in the room because of magic and then killed the person and disappeared. And that's why the door was locked,
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, so what are you doing? So in the game, is it mostly going around and just looking at stuff and picking up items and then you get information and then you're marshaling that information? Or are there like little mini games, or are you like, is there recurring game mechanics of any kind?
It's mostly talking and looking at things. And the game of that is it costs a minute of time to do anything that actually moves the day forward. Which can be cool because, it's a minute to look at these books and see what's in there, a minute to look through someone's wardrobe, or a minute to discuss each piece of evidence with a person. You have this you have like 30 pieces of evidence you can discuss with pretty much anybody. There's so much that you do have to kind of pick and choose. Like, this I think is relevant because it is costing me a minute of what's a game that takes place only over a few days, and that becomes a valuable currency where you get to this event, there's some talk about the history of the manor, and you show up early, and then it's like, great, now I have 6 minutes to look at 6 things in this room that potentially could be evidence. That's, I would say, the game of it is the system of the time moving.
Yeah, it almost like feels management simmy in that aspect, where you have limited resource and then time, and then you're managing it, and then like you're also like you have like a map, so you know which characters are in which room when, and that also like you need to kind of manage your schedule around that, because you might need to go to the room when a character is there, when a character is not there. Like you're kind of you can't, I don't know, I've always been very, at first I was like, okay, I'm going to do everything really easy to put together. As you get into it, you're like, oh wait, you know, maybe, yeah, like Leo was saying, maybe I shouldn't yap off the characters about like this random, in case, you know, it being pertinent.
Yeah.
So you can fail?
Yeah.
There's sub mysteries within it, and it's like you have an hour to do this, which I haven't failed one yet. What are the consequences?
You get a game over, because Leo,
Okay.
I failed the first, but it's not so bad. Basically, you can rewind it like right back to the moment before you failed. So, so basically it's just like scream. It's hilarious. It's basically like you got kicked out of the manor, you made the wrong decision, like you didn't do this correctly. Goodbye. Do you want to load like your previous save? And then it tells you like the day and the time.
It's a fun fantasy to be like a wrong detective.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad they at least allow you to do that for a moment. That's fun.
I honestly find it a weird comparison with Hitman with this game, because it is so clockwork going through this very small place where every room is real and has stuff to do in it, and the time moving forward and people being on those timers, that it almost makes you wish there was more like you failed to do this and then the story splits in these ways. But it already seems so complicated just the way it's laid out. There's so many characters with completely full maps of evidence and things they've done and things you're catching them doing.
Yeah. How do you I'm curious, because like, yeah, how do you, like, what's been of interest to you? Like, how do you decide what to look at and what, you know, what to spend your time observing? Like,
I'm almost like banking on there being New Game Plus or something, because it feels like you couldn't possibly see everything, and I don't know what you would do. But
yeah,
but it's because it is so vibes based. You can eavesdrop on conversations and you go, that sounds interesting, I'll follow that. Here's some characters I like. Oh, they're having breakfast, I'll share breakfast with them and spend 23 minutes of my precious currency doing that. It is like I kind of may as well could be doing so many different things that you really just go like, there's this one thread with this one character that I may as well follow them around and see where it goes.
It's interesting you're able to do that without hitting dead ends all the time. Like that's got to be a hard thing to design for, but that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool feeling game.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of surprised I keep being afraid of like not spending time, like spending too much time doing the wrong things. But so far it's been like fine. So it must be like perfectly, you know, like they were really thinking like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how you began making a game like this with this many conversations and this many pieces of evidence that all interlock.
It's kind of nuts, Anna, that like the first mission you got a failure on, and I'm assuming it was because you were talking to somebody for too long.
It was actually really even sillier than that. I feel like this is like first 30 minutes of the game, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything, but basically like I just the guy was like, I'm coming, or he like was like shouting, saying that I distracted him doing something else, and then I was like digging through the office, and then instead of like climbing out the window, which like I knew I could climb out, but I didn't think to do it, I just went out the door, and he was like, the heck are you doing in my office? Get out. Bye.
That's funny. I went to climb out the window and I was like, I wonder if there's a different cutscene for if you go out the door or out the window.
Okay, well, yeah, there's no cutscene. He's like, it's like, you're no longer welcome here. Get out.
Wow.
Game over.
I like that. That's stakes.
Yeah.
I've got a question. As substitute host, does anybody have any freaking clue how any of this operates?
Whoa. That's so funny that you ask that.
Oh, you have the answer? You know this?
I actually have the answer.
Oh, cool.
It's because of patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's, where people support us all the time. If you support us at the Backstage Pass tier for $10 a month, you can watch this live recording where I absolutely blew up the ad. We're having to dub it later. You could have been there for that. You could have been there in chat trying to warn me that it wasn't working at all. That could have been you. What else? Also, I Am 8-Bit support is what keeps us going. God, we love I Am 8-Bit. They ship out a special prize to everybody every week who wins Question of the Week, I should say. If they win Question of the Week this week, they get the Toem Physical Edition, which includes 4 cute, certified cute little standees. And here's some more B-roll to look at that is not gonna make a bunch of noise.
I love Toem, by the way.
Nice. Good. Okay, I was just looking in terror and making sure that it's not making noise. It's not making noise. I'm doing a great job.
Okay.
Yeah, to anybody
we are
who's confused
talking over this.
Yeah.
What's up?
To anybody who's confused about what's going on, Leo is live producing this podcast. Like, he's running in B-roll live as we're talking. Like, a listener in their car is probably like, what is going on? I can't even imagine what's going on. Same, but we all can't imagine what's going on. But there's just like video. Imagine like really colorful video B-roll of the Toem Physical Edition, yeah?
Playing perfectly with no extra sound.
Yeah, cool.
It's also showing off everything they've got on their Black Friday sale. You can use 10% off with our promo code TURDUCKEN. TURDUCKEN is our seasonal promo code with I Am 8-Bit. So check them out for Black Friday shopping. Get something special for Christmas this year for the gamer in your life, even if that gamer is you. And now let's go to community questions, where, of course, the winner will get a very special prize from I Am 8-Bit.
Very cool. All right, I got some questions for this whole panel here. I'm pretty into this. I feel like we're talking about this more and more as the years go by. This question comes from Ricky Winterborn. Do you think Steam player counts and review counts are good or bad for the game industry? I love seeing them from a curiosity standpoint, but I also wonder if they can doom a game from people seeing a low player count or reviews and figuring, oh, it must not be that great. And I gotta point out, earlier we were talking about that Gorilla Tag game. We're like, look how many reviews it has. You know, these are metrics we look at.
Yeah, I mean, I think both. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's both. I do get, you know, as a developer, it is something you think about. Is like, okay, how many multiplayer modes, for example, are we going to include? Are we going to include multiplayer or not? Because people will be checking, okay, well, how many concurrents are they having? It's kind of a separate thing, but like if you have the more multiplayer modes that you have, then the more you're splitting your potential player base. And so if you get people on social media saying like, I waited 10 minutes and didn't get a match, you know, like 2 days after your game comes out, like that doesn't look good. And yeah, I do think that there is an effect on that. Whatever your interest level is in a game, the perception of whether or not it's popular, just as humans, is something where it's like, oh, I should check that out. Or like, oh, I was kind of interested in that, but maybe I'll just put it off now. And then, you know, maybe you don't get around to it. At the same time, like it is very important, I feel like, and useful for people to be able to have both developers and people who talk about games in the press and stuff like that. I do think it's important to have a barometer for when things are doing well and are popular, and how popular is it. And Steam reviews are definitely not a scientific, you know, thing. They're not accurate. It's just like a very general rule of thumb. But you know, it is something. First of all, I don't know how you control it. How do you put that, you know, back in the back? I mean, there's that many reviews. You want to expose people to those reviews, like counting up how many reviews there are, and the idea that, yeah, those reviews are going to be indicative of the overall sales numbers. It's kind of like, how do you not do that in the first place? But also, you know, back when there used to be NPDs and all game sales were physical sales, it was incredibly useful for coverage. And I know for other developers, you could just buy, you had to pay for it, but you could get the numbers from NPD and you could see, here's what all games are selling. And I think now that you don't necessarily have that, there's good and bad. Like there's good and bad to it. Like a game can be really critically perceived well And like, if you're the developer who makes that game and you're pitching to a new publisher, they don't necessarily know the sales figures, and maybe that's to your benefit. Like, the game just has a good reputation, and they'll not sweat it as much as they would if they knew, if them and everybody else knew the exact numbers that your game has sold. So yeah, this is just kind of like a shotgun of different takes on it, but like, I think it is a big issue with lots of different implications to it, and I don't think that there's like a pat answer like, oh, it's terrible for everything, or it's really good, everyone should know what everything has sold.
I will say,
we're talking about reviews. Go ahead.
I'm really tired of gamers weaponizing player counts. I feel like I see that a lot in casual communities and subreddits and stuff, where it's like, look, this game now has way fewer players on Steam than when it launched. Dead game.
Right.
Embarrassed. This is proof that the developers haven't been doing the wrong thing by not listening to me. You know, it's.
I agree. At the same time, I do think, like, as a player, it's useful information if you're buying, especially like a game as a service game, right? Like a game that you're buying thinking like, I'm going to play this for the next 6 months or something. Like, I'm going to play this and I'm going to be able to get matched into things with 64 other people, because the game is only fun if there's 64 other people playing it. And if I see that number is really low, then it's like, oh, that's kind of like more information for me. But I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think most of the time that I'm exposed to those numbers, and like, of course, always sometimes there's like a glee to it, and like, you know, like I told you so to it and stuff like that, and that's always like, of course, like, yeah, really terrible to see. But
yeah,
but I do think there are times that seeing the player count is also like useful.
McGreevy in the Backstage Pass chat says, in Australia, if a multiplayer game has a low player count, I can't risk buying it because there will just be no games. Yeah, Australia specific servers on games can totally be its own issue. But with the final specifically, I remember it because people would say the player count, look at the player count, here it is again today, look how not good it is, and then is this game dead, is it dying? And then, you know, after a certain amount of that, Embark comes out and is like, we have like 3 times those players on PlayStation alone. Like, it's just not the full picture, and you think you can extrapolate it to the full picture, but you really can't always.
That's
Yeah,
a good
I think
point.
the other piece is that, like, it is like one piece of like a larger picture, where I think like what can be a bummer is like, it's almost like it contributes to like a snowbally effect, where like the largest games just like do get to like go viral. So I think about, but it's like not just because they have a bunch of reviews on Steam or a bunch of people are playing it on Steam. It's like part of like a larger apparatus of like social media that constructs reality, where it's like all the Twitch streamers are playing this game, all like it's trending on TikTok, and then like also then that's like reflected in the Steam page numbers. And so it's like, and sometimes all of that contributes. It's like kind of just pushing everyone towards one game, and maybe that game is good, maybe it's not, I don't know. Earlier this year, like a bunch of people were hyping up the Drug Simulator Schedule 1 because it had like really high Steam players, and that game has like, I think, over 100,000 reviews on Steam. And so it's like, and in that case, I'm kind of like, ugh, like, you know, trend culture kind of in general can be a bit tiresome, and like Steam can certainly contribute to it.
Yeah, it could feed upon itself, and separate like the haves and have-nots even more. I totally agree.
Exactly, yeah. Because I also would be curious, I don't know if you would have any insight to this, like other aspects of like algorithmically moderated kind of like game presentation that, you know, or just like the ways like things, what gets elevated and what doesn't get elevated, right? Like, and this is just one way that can happen.
Right.
No, that's all interesting to me. I think there's something nice. The idea of like knowing where you're sitting right now, that so many other people are doing the exact same thing as you, that they're playing the same game, that they're in the same world as you. I think there's something kind of like fun about that. But I get it. Yeah, it's a fun thing to think about. It's fun data, I would say, but I get that, you know, it can be used for unfun means. I got a question from P9XM. You've been tasked with curating a museum exhibit of your own childhood art. What piece would each of you bring? So this is a museum with 4 exhibits. And this is art exclusively to the people who are on the MinnMax show episode 320. You're going to look at 4 pieces of art that are from our childhoods. What are we putting in there?
I was really proud of a comic book I made. Called
Do you still have
Thumb
it?
Boy.
Thumb
Yes. It might literally be 2 feet from me. I'll have to check on that. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, you have to. If you have it there, you have to at some point.
It was very
this
plainly a ripoff of Spy Kids, how there were the thumb people who would help out Floop.
Wait, but that just would be a good comic series. Like,
It had potential for sure. And it certainly, as a kid who didn't draw very much, it was like, I can wrap my head around drawing that. Just do a few like wrinkles on the nail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
I'm sorry. As somebody who hasn't seen Spy Kids, are the thumb people, are they like Tom Thumb? Like they're the size of thumbs?
they're
No,
human,
they're human
size.
size, but they have big thumb, chunky appendages, thumb legs, thumb arms, thumb heads. They're bumping into each
my
other.
God.
They can't see typically in most iterations.
Thank you for explaining that. All right. Did you ever make an issue 2? Or so it's issue 1?
Yeah, there's
we're
a
putting on
few
display?
issues. So it'd be like kind of, there'd be lore breakdowns and things. And like, here's this seminal moment in the franchise.
What age was this at, out of curiosity?
8 or 9, maybe? Here's...
Wow.
That's awesome.
Okay, to listeners, Thumb Boy looks a lot better than a person who just has a thumb for a head. He's got
I don't know who
eyebrows
that
and eyes
is.
and a big old nose. Oh,
That's
not
someone
Thumb Boy?
else. Yeah,
like
no, and
Dr.
that one
Wily
never got
kinda
completed.
style.
It is the title Kalini
Okay.
Manor, but then it did not
Ooh,
get.
the Seance
The
of
Untold
Bellini Manor.
Yes, yes.
The spin-off of Thumb Boy.
This one's more Thumb Boy. Thumb Boy at the state fair.
Oh, that's
Got like a
fun.
lobster there, it looks like.
Of course, that is Thumb Boy.
Amazing.
None taken. That is Thumb Boy. He does have antennas for some reason.
Oh,
Oh,
Thumb
boy.
Boy
Okay.
looks like a
Oh,
lobster.
okay, I get it now. Yeah, I thought Thumb Boy was a
Hey, he
lobster,
does.
which you might find at a state fair. You know,
This many
Thumb
years
Boy has lobster-like
away.
proportions.
Yeah. Well, now this is interesting. So it kind of goes a little bit. You've got 2 characters playing a game together, and it says,
oh look at that.
sorry,
P1 wins.
dropping my collection here.
This is the exhibit, by the way. It's Leo actually there in the museum, holding it up,
It's interactive art.
saying, "This is not a lobster. This is Thumb Boy."
Yes, no, I get that question a
He
lot.
walks you through it.
Because outside in the sky, many beings, outside in the sky, you know, cut away, and a UFO says, many beings would think of my collection as strange. ... And then it was never
I want to know where
completed.
that goes. You're gonna have to
Yeah,
complete
you
it
might
now.
have to like actually publish this stuff. This is nice.
Yeah, it's
What
kind
else
of
do
cool.
we have hanging? Is it okay? So here's how this thing works. Here's how community questions works. Is we all get a brief thing about all the questions, right? And this one had a thumb up on it, and I was like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
somebody thumbed this up, I was like, I got to see more. I got to see what everybody else has.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have
We're
like
going.
a good answer personally.
But
I have
Ben
a
doesn't
raw
like
one.
when people do that, but I definitely do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anna. You go.
I was just waiting for everyone else.
Okay, so in high school,
Yeah.
I had this teacher who was just kind of like into cool stuff. So like I would just like make stuff and he would like give me really good grades. So he's like, okay, so here's the assignment this week. I'm just going to give you like a list of like random elements and you have to combine them and make them into something. I'm like, okay. So he's like, for you, sock, screws, golf ball, yarn. And so I made this crazy like spike ball of screws that had like yarn around it and it was like hanging from like a strewn up sock, right? He freaking loved it. He was like, dude, that is so cool. It's like, so there's something really raw about this. And he put it in like the school fair and I like got a ribbon for like this yarny spike ball. So I think I really got to put this in the museum.
You got to give your teacher a shout out too, right? Who's that teacher who changed your life?
Inspired you.
Or do you not remember?
Cannot remember his name.
Not
It
exactly
escapes me
Mr.
at the
Holland's
moment.
opus.
Right.
All right.
I'd have to crack open the old yearbook. I do not remember that guy's name. Cool guy though.
Wow.
Cool teacher. Very supportive.
Amazing. My exhibit, I guess, would be interactive. So I was interested in making games very young. I think I was still in grade school. I made on my my Apple IIe I made a game that would be, I think, my exhibit, which was it was called Mission Improbable. This was before all the Mission Impossible reboots. So Mission Impossible, all it was to me was like an old TV show with a really cool theme song. So I really liked that theme song, and I liked the fuse that goes across the screen. And so it was straight up ASCII art. It was, there were characters that were made out of slashes and equal signs and whatever, stick figures. And all you could do is move back and forth, left and right, and shoot a gun, and you could kill another stick figure. But it had an amazing intro, which had a accompanying cassette. My idea was, this was after games were not on cassette anymore. I'm not that old, but you have a cassette player because sound was garbage back then, and so you'd have a cassette. The game would come theoretically with a cassette, and you'd put in the cassette, and the game would tell you, "Hey, play the cassette now." And it would be the theme song. And so it had the actual intro was the thing that I spent all the time on, and then the game itself didn't happen. But it had an intro with the little thing going across, and I had the Mission Impossible theme on a cassette tape, and you'd play it at the same time. And the only other thing I remember about it, it was faux TV show intro. So it was you as so-and-so little stick figure. And then for whatever reason, I have no earthly idea why this is the case, but the bad guy, the antagonist, who was, just a very fat stick figure, again, made out of parentheses and slashes and stuff, was Lee Iacocca, who I'm sure nobody here knows or listening has any idea who that is. I had to look up myself. I knew he was an executive. He was the president of Ford for some reason.
He's the bad guy?
He was like a cultural figure. Yeah, I don't know why. I have no idea. Again, I have no idea why, but he was like a businessman, like a well-known businessman. I don't know who would be the equivalent now. Not like a, like a Musk level, fame weirdo, but just like a very well-respected, like a Jack Welch from GE, for a only 15-year-old reference of it. I have no idea why he was the bad guy. Never did anything to me. Never did. My family didn't my dad didn't get fired from the Ford plant or anything. But
you
for whatever
do shoot
reason,
him.
Yeah. So you did. In theory, you would have eventually, but I think the name would have to be changed for him for the museum exhibit. But maybe we'll have to bleep it out. Yeah, of the podcast if his lawyers are still around. But there you go. I was a weird kid, I guess.
I love making just the intro and not the rest of it. That's such a kid thing to do.
That was the fun part, right? I had the music, and I really wanted to do. It was very easy to do that fuse because you used an asterisk for the lit part of the fuse, and then the fuse was just underlines, and then it would disappear. And I could never program worth of anything, but I managed that somehow. So, what about
my
you?
art show would be okay. So I would just do little drawings outside, so of a pond or a pond in a hill, or some cattails in a pond. And because we used to live we lived in rural Minnesota. We lived on a pond, and across the pond there was actually a yak / Christmas tree. And so I had a little pond and the hill and the little yaks on it. So I think that would be in there. And true to this theme, I was wow, I think I had a Minnesotan childhood. I used to, my elementary school, they taught me how to collect and press flowers and prairie grasses, stuff like that. So I became obsessed with this. And so I made books and books and books of laminated. I was obsessed with laminating as a kid. I was so obsessed with laminating. I don't know why. My little Pokemon drawings. Yeah, I just I was wait, this is amazing technology. So I would I think I would put my little pressed books of prairie grasses and flowers.
Your story reminded me of. Did anybody here ever work at a GameStop or a Babbage's or any of those kind of retail stores back in the day? No. Okay.
No.
Wow. It seemed like, for a time in the gaming industry, anybody who I met, like everybody had worked at one of those. I worked at Babbage's, and speaking of your lamination machine, so they had a shrink wrap machine at the back of Babbage's. And
really cool.
I'm not proud of this at all, but I worked at Babbage's for like 3 months, and I did not go through with this plot. I want to be clear to any authorities listening or anything. Like, this was just an idea, and no one should do this idea. But I realized with the shrink wrap machine was basically a gold mine. So I had been buying games, for 20 years, right? And you could take any one of those games, shrink wrap it, and then nobody kept track of the price gun machine with the stickers at Babbage's of what, so you could basically effectively make something as if it was sold at Babbage's, shrink wrap it, put the sticker on it, and then take it back to like any Babbage's ever and get like full retail price. So
I think young
yes.
Mark was forgetting that like CDs and DVDs used to have a sticker on the top that you'd have to peel off.
But these
So
were
sure,
I'm talking about like Super Nintendo games and things like that, right?
Okay.
So like all of those games, as long as I still had the boxes, I didn't even necessarily need the instruction booklet. Because they would only take returns if it was still shrink wrapped, and you'd had a receipt, or you'd obviously bought it from the store, and so that was the sticker. And so I went as far as like printing out the stickers for a bunch of games, and I had my wallet. It was all very Ocean's 11, but I did not end up like going through with the.
So it was a thing
machine.
you did almost do it.
I did actually start to go through with it, but then did not in the end. I don't know. But I was fascinated by the shrink wrap machine. I imagine the lamination machine might have been similar. I thought it was just amazing. And then you'd use a hair dryer to shrink it all up. I thought it was magic.
Yeah.
Do you remember one of the games you almost shrink wrapped? One of the.
This would have. I think it might have been like a Final Fantasy III, which was really expensive. Those were like $90 or $100. And again, you couldn't rent games, at least where I was at in St. Louis. And so being able to return games was a real problem. I did actually have to, I went back and returned games, so many games myself, because I was just trying to get more games that I had to pay my friends. They knew me at the store. And so I got to the point where I had to pay friends money to take games back for me. It's a longer bad story. A very gray area. Not illegal, but
crime
not,
ring.
Not something I'm proud of. Poor Babbage's. Yeah, it's not around anymore. So
did your friends get a cut, or are you just like, hey, buddy, will you do me a favor and go return this game?
I gave them $5. Here's the thing: I had to give them $5, but I also had to give them a reason why they were returning the game. And these are friends that
This is crazy.
Yeah, these are friends that didn't know or care about games.
You had to write them an excuse.
Well, they had to memorize. I mean, they had to remember it, right?
What were acceptable excuses?
So here's one that I specifically remember. Here's a specific one I remember. So, do you guys remember the game Forgotten Worlds? Was a Genesis game based on an arcade game. It's like an old Capcom shooter. Anyway, there's a big boss in that game. I basically was walking to Babbage's with my friend and okay, here's what you're going to describe. The game froze on you, and the area that it froze at, there's a big boss that appears. And he has two big hands that come out. And this is like the first level boss or second level boss, I think, of the game. And when the two hands came out, that's when the game froze. And that's why you need to return the game. This was like, I don't know how old I was, but this is younger person logic. Yeah. Theoretically, yes, you could have just reset the game. And maybe the story was that it froze there every time or whatever, but I had to give him $5 to do it. And sometimes they gave him increasingly hassle as well, and we had to go to different stores, and I had to enlist different people. And again, not a chapter of my life I'm really proud of. And young people, crazy. Please don't do this.
If someone asked you to return Lumines, what excuse would you accept?
Digital baby. There's no physical. You signed that EULA. We have proof. No, that's
Steam,
all up to the. Luckily, that's all up to Steam. Steam, you can do that, right? You can play it a couple hours,
and you can pick a reason from a drop-down list. You don't even have to make one up.
Yeah, it's true.
That's right.
You say it's not what I expected, and they give it to you.
Not legitimate.
Can you imagine? Like, I'm just imagining like the role of your friend. I mean, like, it's a nice way to make $5, but like the like heartbeat of like a game you've never heard of, Forgotten Worlds, and like trying to be like, dude, the level 1 boss's hands. That's so crazy.
I know
this whole scenario.
It was the most uncomfortable thing. It really felt bad when I did it. So I did not envy him, but he had a very laissez-faire attitude about it. I think he was like, because he didn't care if they knew him or kicked him out of the store or were like, you're never coming back here ever again or anything.
No stakes
so
for him.
like,
yeah,
no stakes. And
I get it. Like Forgotten, like I'm looking at it now. It's like it's like flying Contra, right? Like it's like a shoot 'em up.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, that's exactly. Actually, that probably was the pitch.
And
for
like,
it.
It's such a type of game. Like it was probably way too expensive and not that fun. And like once you're done with it, like you don't.
That's
need
the
that
thing.
anymore.
You didn't have. I mean, you barely had reviews. Like you had no way of knowing. Back at that time, and again, it at least in Missouri and St. Louis, there was no such thing as rentals. Like there were in different states, but there was not at that time a way to rent it. And so, like as a kid, I was lucky if I got, $40 or $50 every 3 months, and there was no way I was not going to play more games than that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got one more question for us. This is from Emma Going Nuts. Actually, I'll do two more. Anyway, this is from Emma Going Nuts. And by the way, I realize, like, here's the thing. I know that's your name. That's like a real human's name, but I want to make it clear to like everybody listening. I'm not saying GOIN apostrophe NUTS. This is somebody's name. I'm not saying Emma Going Nuts. Okay. Anyway, this one's
I thought
for Anna.
you were.
Yeah,
I really did. That's what I thought. I thought it was an internet handle. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is just somebody's real name. And so, like, I just wanted to make that clear to everybody. Anyway,
Thank you.
This one's for Anna. As someone who has a curl pattern that's almost identical to yours, I've always wondered how you get such great results with your hair. Finding someone with similar curls to get tips from is like striking gold. And we curl friends love to do a deep dive on our hair care routine to anyone who will listen. So I'm dying to know what products you use and how you wash and style it. I can't believe I've not heard you talk about this on MinnMax before. The streets aren't talking enough about how good your curl definition is.
Wait, I love the passion in this question. Okay, I'll keep it.
Me too.
It's actually not that complicated. The first step, the most important step, is actually to like go to someone who knows how to cut curly hair. So I will search like curly hair salon and then like go to a place where the person will give me they call it like a curly haircut. And yes, it is more expensive and it's not fair. Like you shouldn't need to pay more just because your hair is a certain, but that's how it is. So then you get a curly haircut. They'll teach you how to take care of it. And but for me, like what I did for today is I literally shampooed it with shampoo that I got. I make sure I shampoo it really, really well. Scalp is really clean. And then I will sometimes use conditioner and then wash it out and then gel. I use my favorite product is, oh no, I forgot what kind of gel it is, what the brand it is.
Sponsors on this show. You should name some brands here because she wants to, sounds like she wants specifics.
I know. I use InnerSense. I create curl memory. And if I want it to look nice, I will diffuse it. But today, I didn't diffuse it. Usually I just let it air. So yeah, you can also just DM me. I'll give you more tips.
Have you heard that curl friends before? Is that a known term that people use and call each other? Because I feel that's pretty clever.
No, I think it's just usually people have there's a language around curl patterns. And so there's a bunch of different kinds of curls. But curl friends is cute.
There's no different term that people with curls call each other or any kind of insider. No. Okay.
No, unfortunately, we should have a secret society. I think
it feels a little secret. Yeah, it feels like they, you know what I mean. I
didn't know there was this whole shadow
aspect of life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
curl hairdressers and non-curl bar. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, because like a regular hairdresser will like the interesting thing about curly hair is that actually the pattern like is different and the texture is different even on different parts of your head. So it's like actually really complicated, and so you need to cut it in a way like basically like the predominant way that people cut hairs does not apply to curly hair. And so like because you don't fit in the standard form of the training, then like I got the average like hair cutter will just like cut it like they cut straight hair, and it'll actually leave your hair look very try. So that's why like starting with someone who actually knows how to cut your hair.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I've got one final question for this panel. And the reason, I got to get, like, here's the thing. This is where you're really putting yourself on the line here. This is from Green Mountain State. Given the crew this week, I thought it'd be interesting to hear where Kyle, Mark, and Anna are landing for their favorite games this year and GOTY contenders. Anything off the beaten path they'd recommend people take a first or second look at?
Yeah, so I'm going to put a huge caveat at the start of mine that as I talk about this all the time on the other podcast that I'm on, but I have that podcast so I can hear the games that other people are playing, because I have 2 kids, and then shipping this game this year, I'm like woefully underplayed this year. But I will say something I'm enjoying a lot, and like technically, I guess the Switch version came out this year, so can we count that? Does that count?
We'll count it for sure, yeah. Okay,
so UFO 50, I'm really very much into. I'm sure it's been talked about a lot on this show, but as somebody who was playing those games like that in the arcade, and then in the early Atari and Nintendo days, there's the huge nostalgia factor, but like a lot of those games are just straight up gems, like just on their own are really, really good. House Party. Yeah. One that I saw people talking about and gravitated towards was this game House Party, which effectively is like a card game, but it's themed around you're inviting different people to a party, and if it gets too rowdy, the cops come, and it's like a round based thing, and you need to get so far in so many rounds. But I'm not into card games. I'm not somebody that plays like a lot of board games and things like that outside of video games. But this one like is just incredibly addictive, really good, great for killing time. I have a lot when I do have time to play games. It's really short, and so that's why I think I've gravitated towards UFO 50. Is it's just like I can play a new game with absolutely no guilt if I bounce off it in 30 seconds, and they're games that are meant to be jumped into with no prior knowledge of the game, and with 2 buttons, and if at most a screen to read about it, and it kind of leans into that as part of the enjoyment factor of it. And then I just really love some of the meta things that the game does as well, and like the fictional company that it's a part of, and games having sequels, and like it's just a really clever idea, incredibly well executed, and also just like weird and bizarre, and the kind of stuff that I love it when people do, because it's the kind of stuff that it's like, why would any sane person ever make this game? A game with 50 games in it that all kind of have to be good to a certain extent, all have to have themes and rule sets and be tested and all of this stuff. Like I can't imagine what it was like to create it, but I just love. I'm sorry, Ben. I just really. What's the MinnMax approved substitute for the F word, Leo?
You just say the word sorry.
Yeah, you just apologize.
You apologize for thinking
love.
it.
I want to redo. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought about that. I really sorry. I thought the F word here. Love.
That's good.
UFO 50. So
thank you. Good.
Please, in your continuing game award or whatever category it would go into, that's my.
We got it to number 4 last year on our 210s UFO 50.
Oh,
we love that game.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Anna, what do you got? What's brewing?
I think my number one game right now is Blueprints. That game really gripped me. I found it to be really powerful and like really memorable. But also, I don't know. I think like my list is gonna super surprising at this point. I really like Clair Obscure and Silk Song. I think Pokemon ZA is one of the best Pokemon games that's been released in a very long time.
Cool.
That stinks. We're at the end of the podcast. We gotta have a whole conversation about that.
If you want to record a little bonus, we get a little Pokemon bonus.
New show
totally
plus
down.
next week. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Writing it down.
And then my little curveball pick that really stuck with me is there's this game called Ina Dream Barbecue. And it's about a person named Ina who's looking for the boss. And it's like a surrealist kind of indie game. But it has some of the best like visuals and animations like in a game that I've seen.
This looks cool.
Several years. Highly recommend. It's free on Steam. I sound like I'm selling it, but you play it for 5 minutes, you'll understand. Like,
that's a fun pick.
Yeah.
My goatee is flying under the radar for a lot of people. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza. Best game I played.
I gotta go.
Probably the best game I played in a long time.
Wait, let me
and I
Google
think
this.
it's just, it's not getting enough attention. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's published by Nintendo. It's on the Switch too. It's definitely worth a look. If you're looking for like a masterpiece, definitely check out Donkey Kong Bonanza. All right. It's now time for Get a Load of This. This is, of course, a segment in which everybody brings an interesting...
Playing. Sorry. The theme song's playing right on time, and now it's over.
Okay. This is, of course, a segment where everybody on the panel brings an interesting thing that they have seen or enjoyed across the last 7 days.
I have my best Get a Load of This ever.
Whoa.
Which is in the MinnMax Discord. What a great place. Suggestions channel there. People always wondering, why are the Patreon time codes for the show off sync versus the regular time codes for the MinnMax show on YouTube? And the answer is because the ads get cut and the time codes don't get adjusted because that's like a pain in the ass to do. Ben says it takes me like 15, 20 extra minutes. Yes, pain in the booty or rear. Sorry. And he decides to just spend his time with his family that night instead. He says, I'll take the 15 extra minutes with my family and just get it sent off early. Community says, no, we don't accept that, especially not when you're on paternity leave. And we say, great. Okay, fine. Let's move forward. How do we work through this? People say, just subtract the time. I say, what does that mean? How do you subtract time? We eventually brainstorm what would be the perfect tool. We get it to the community dev and coding channel. And this absolute saint, Johnny J. McGrippus, in our MinnMax Discord, says, hey, I just blasted this out in a few hours. And it is this web tool that anybody can use where you drag in the exported markers format from the Premiere file. We have the markers for the time codes, and we've been transferring them by hand. Now we can export them into this spreadsheet format, drag it into this tool, and this person has made it so it automatically formats it in the way we do our time codes. And you can press a button to trim out the ads, and it adjusts the time codes for them. It's really, really something. And it, again, is public for anybody who has any use for automated time codes into a description versus doing it by hand. It's going to save us so much time
out there. Yeah. This is what the community is for. That's awesome. That's amazing.
It was
good for you guys.
Really exciting to see. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who contributed on that. And enjoy the time codes in the description that were made with this new method.
Yeah, that's fun.
Anybody can go ahead and scroll those.
Was that the community get a load of this, or was that the Leo get a load of this?
Oh, I guess that could have been the community. So I took it, though. I got a different community one. I took that for me.
Oh, okay. What's going on with the community? What do they got for us?
I liked Yo Call Me Rob's suggestion of an IGN article titled PS5 has now officially outsold every Xbox console ever released.
Now that's just rude.
I thought in honor of our guest host, Kyle Bosman, I might get a little stab in there at that one.
No, I love
thing
that.
that will
Yeah. I
continue
do
to
hate
lose.
Xbox, so it is always really nice to hear anything like that.
Okay, good.
And I'm just, you know what? You know who's screaming right now? As he was already upset. You know what I mean? He was already like pulling out his hair and tugging at his shirt. We didn't pick a favorite question. We went straight from the community questions straight into get a load of this. So we have to pause, get a load of this for a second, and pick our favorite community question. Who gets a prize from I Am 8-Bit?
It's got to be the art gallery.
So
one.
sorry.
Art gallery.
I think so too. Yeah, because I like it was a fun setup, but then also that transitioned into like the insane stories about what Mark made his best friend do.
That was
that was some really fun stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So who wrote that one in? You got that list up still?
I do. That was a P9XM.
P9XM. Great question.
Great question, and congrats. On that award. Not award, but prize. Okay, back into the realm of get a load of this.
Get a load of this. Mine's non-games related. Okay, this is really cool. They discovered a new species of T-Rex. Like this, well, it was a little bit ago, but it wasn't this week, but it was the week before.
Close enough, yeah.
And it's a tiny T-Rex. The reason it took them so long to discover it is they thought that they were juvenile T-Rexes, but
they thought they were babies.
They thought they were baby T-Rexes, but they're actually a separate species of T-Rexes, and it's called a nano. Wait.
How big?
A nano Tyrannex.
I was gonna say, how big are we talking about here? Like a VW?
It doesn't say.
Like compared to a raptor.
This looks larger than a raptor. This looks much larger than a raptor.
Are you saying it's like, would this be rideable feasibly? Could you straddle it?
Maybe. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I don't have scientific things to judge this, but
I'm gonna just say yes for the sake of.
Yeah, we're talking about like an actual prehistoric Yoshi. Like this is really cool.
Yes,
right?
yes, Yoshi. Yeah.
Huge.
And it's really cool because it's like actually like upended, like the T-Rex is one of the most studied dinosaurs, and so the fact that there's a T-Rex they didn't know about is like, and they know this because of a newly unearthed like fossil of this T-Rex. So the fact that they didn't know this was like kind of crazy. Like it's kind of got the paleontology world like up there.
Sure.
They're shouting from the rooftops there. Yeah. So I don't know.
I bet some are mad. I bet some are really excited. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So, unearthed
TV and film possibilities too for that. I'm sure. Like,
Jurassic Park is going to
buildings, right? Like,
yeah. Jurassic Park is so bored with the dinosaurs that exist. They're always going, "Here's the new dinosaur we invented." They got to be stoked about this.
Yeah, and usually they go big, but you know what? Now this is a great opportunity. Like maybe go a little littler. You know?
Yeah, they're expecting that. That. What about the like human drama that with life-size smaller T-Rexes? That's more of a think piece or My Dinner with Andre kind of.
Yeah, they can talk like Planet of the Apes.
Zig when you think Zig when you think you're gonna zag.
Yeah. And now they're questioning everything they think they know about T-Rex growth because now they're like, wait, some of these are a different. Are juvenile
right
T-Rex.
You got to look back at all the little baby what they thought were baby T-Rexes up until now and figure that out. Are these supposed to be game related or not game related, or does it matter?
No, they can be absolutely anything
either. Okay, well, because I do have it. You're mentioning Donkey Kong reminded me of something that that I like to shout out and give some more views to. So,
sure.
Friend of the show, Frank Cifaldi, and the Video Game History Foundation that he does, they had a video at the, what would that have been, the 40th anniversary of the launch of the original 8-bit Nintendo. He had a panel at the, I think it was the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, but he had a bunch of, like 3 of the original people there that launched it, and it's I don't know if that sounds interesting or not, but you have to trust me that it is that it is. It's sure. Really interesting. It's like the marketing people. I mean, they talk about Nintendo, and it was like a 20-person company. The Donkey Kong thing that I was reminded of is that they talked about, and this has been talked about before, but they talked about getting the or they were recalling somebody else's memory of getting the arcade boards. They just heard that the game was coming that was based on King Kong, and they were like, "Oh, this is gonna be a big hit. This is gonna be great." And they opened it up, and they literally saw the name Donkey Kong, and they're like, "We are screwed." One of them turned to the other. We are completely screwed. But they have just a lot of really good stories, and you realize like how weird it was that Nintendo of America was like a little family business at a time, and how crazy it is what they did with that at the time, and how they had to hide the fact in a way that it was a video game machine, even because video games were kind of a bad word after the 83 crash, and toy stores weren't going to carry something. And so they talked a lot about like the Rob the Robot accessory for it, and a bunch of like the marketing for it, and like how they were selling it and who was interested in it and not, and focus groups. And I don't know, it's a really good chat, and Frank does an amazing job, him and everybody at the Video Game History Foundation. So yeah, check that out on YouTube if you can.
Heck yeah. What would I search for?
Let's see. I would search for "We Launched the NES," I believe is the name of the panel.
Cool.
I'll verify
and
that.
Links to all these will be in the description as well.
Okay,
cool.
Heck yeah. Get a load of this. I know a lot of people have been missing the Rumormeister. You know what I mean? We've been like missing out.
I want that BioShock game. I legitimately want the BioShock game that takes place entirely inside the body of a Big Daddy. And I feel bad even revealing that. I feel bad even talking about that, because that's obviously the twist.
It's in development right now. Yeah.
Find out about 2/3 of the way through the game, but
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a hot take.
I miss that stuff. I miss the Rumormeister so much, but I found a good alternative. My man Aaron on Discord. He's got all the greatest leaks. He knows exactly what's in the Steam machine. So like definitely if you're on Discord, check out Aaron. He's gonna hook you up with all the best leaks.
Somebody in Backstage Pass chat did confirm it was an IGN, said it was basically equivalent to a 4060. So the leak bore true.
Aaron's on point, bro. Aaron's on point. You got to check out Aaron.
Dang, I thought you were going to launch into a legitimate Rumormeister there.
I did.
Yeah.
That concludes our podcast. Thanks so much to this panel for spending. Oh my gosh.
That's what I remembered immediately.
Do we have a theme song for Who's the Twerp?
Yeah.
And now it's time for Who Was the Twerp?
Yep. Ranked ballot edition.
Are we good?
Yep.
Oh, no, there it is. Okay, great.
Okay, yes.
That took 40 seconds. Okay. The twerp was, and I'm sorry to say this because I know it's been really stressful. It's not easy to be a podcast guest and producer at the same time, but the twerp was Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where's the slime? Slime.
Yep. And then,
Slime drop.
any listeners, please know that he's now been engulfed in slime. Did you say engulfed in slime?
That sounds like electrocuted. It's what you say when they died by slime.
Yeah.
I have moisturizer on my desk.
There we go.
Can you pour it on your head now?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry everybody.
Absolutely not.
We're gonna smooth out the kinks.
No.
There's no actual. Okay, all right. Now,
we're gonna
save this for the charity stream.
We're gonna get it smoothed out next time. This is pretty expensive stuff, so I don't want to do more than one like Charlie Brown cowlick.
That's wild. Listeners, listeners, it's worth maybe going to YouTube and like going into the last 40 seconds there to see what just happened there.
Don't, I'm humiliated. Don't, I'm the twerp. I'm humiliated. Don't look.
Anna, how can somebody follow you?
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Pokachi with 2 E's. And that's the main way to get in touch. And if you have work opportunities, I'm always around. If you need a Whip Smart writer, editor, or you need a gut check on your game, I've also things. You can reach out to me either on Blue Sky or at my email at annadiazwrites@gmail.com. That's it.
Whip smart was a good adjective. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
That's like, is that like part of like your regular elevator pitch, or was that off the
No.
dome? That's nice. Yeah, that was
I've
good.
used it once before, and I was like, I think that worked okay. So now I use it for the second time. So maybe
Definitely
now
recommends.
it is.
Yeah, that's got to be part of like that's iconic. That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Mark, where can okay, so people can follow you. Definitely check out Lumines Arise.
Please, yes, Lumines Arise on Steam or PS5, optional VR, optional VR. But
completely
if you're so inclined, yes, PSVR 2 or your favorite PC headset. So you can find me at Mark McDo. Mark McD was taken on Blue Sky. And if you want to hear me talk more about things other than games or around games that I haven't been playing, but I wish I was playing, specifically Japanese games, I'm on a podcast every other week called 8-4 Play that you can find wherever you find podcasts.
And just because we've been like talking about like just making everything clear to listeners and viewers, it's not a sex thing. It's 8-4 PLAY.
Yes, that's correct. It was named at an unfortunate time long ago when video game podcast names seem to have. Japan Game Panic was my personal favorite. It was what the
nice.
Subtitle of it was going to be, so you can refer to it that. But yes, it's the number 8 and the number 4, which is a company that still exists, does great localization work, but it's us playing different video games.
Cool. Thank you all so much for hanging out for so long for an extra length podcast. Really appreciate that. I've been Kyle Bossman. I'll be off next week. There'll be a new substitute next week, but I'll be back around for some more in the future.
Well, Kyle, what about you? Where can people go for more Kyle Bossman? Is it just so ubiquitous that you feel like you don't even need to tell people?
I feel like as substitute host, a host doesn't promote themselves. You know what I mean?
No, but a substitute host does. You're like,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Kyle Bossman, youtube.com/Kyle Bossman. And just to be clear with everybody, that's just S with Bossman with one S. So don't be looking for Bossman. Yeah, MinnMax 2 N's, Bossman 1 S. And that's been the show. MinnMax, be better. What's his actual
be better?
It's everyone agrees you should be better.
Insert catchphrase here.
I forget what there is a catchphrase at the end, right? It's like do better, be better, or something.
Wish you well, Ben.
Okay.
Make up your own version of it right now.
Yeah.
I like that kind of imperative. Be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be better, damn it.
It's urgent.
Be better, damn it.